right. Clap one. On three. One, two, three. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're so glad that you're here. As always, I am your host, Lauren Ash. And as always, I am joined by my co-hostess with the mostess, Christy Oxborrow. How you feeling?
I'm doing great.
I was holding a burp that entire time.
Well,
The
you did
entire
great.
time.
You did great.
I feel like that proves I'm engaging my diaphragm. I'm engaging my core. I can talk through a
Mhm.
burp. I'm out of my mind.
I
Um,
think you're doing great.
Well, I have an update for the people because people have been
Hey,
messaging me about this on social media. And so I do feel like I need to give everybody an update at the same time, which is yesterday, June 10th,
hmm
my building finally turned the AC back on in our units.
hey, that's nice.
And I got to tell you something, I cranked it
hmm
because it was between 25 and 26 it's been hot in Toronto. And to convert for the non uh for the Americans, for the Fahrenheits. I believe it's like 77. I think 25 is 77.
Mm,
And 26, 27. You're getting up into, I think 27 is 80.
mm.
That's too hot. No one's house should be that hot.
No.
Anyway, so I was telling Christy before we started recording, I took a nap today, and I think what I realized is I haven't really slept in weeks, like really
Mm.
properly slept. Like I'm fitful in the night. I'm sweating through my sheets. I was sending texts to Christy and to other girlfriends of mine that are of a certain age going, has it happened? Like, have I entered perimenopause? Like, I'm sweating through the
Mhm.
sheets. Like, my sweat is waking me up. But what I'm realizing now is, while that could be a factor, I
Sure.
think, moreover, it's the hot fucking apartment I've been living in
Yeah,
where I've got a fan on me. It's not doing shit. It's also drying out my cords. I'm cranking a humidifier to try and offset the fan.
of
You
course.
can't keep the windows open because it's so fucking loud downtown. Long story short, this nap, I didn't move. I fell asleep for over
Mm.
2 hours midday. And when I woke up, I think my body was screaming at me like, thank you. Thank you.
Go back. Let us go back.
Let us
Yeah,
go
it
back.
wasn't done.
I've got it at 20 right now in here, which is chilly.
Good
It's like
for you.
68. It is a little chillier than I typically keep it, but guess what? Not to sleep, it's not. Because I'm
No.
realizing that I don't think the air blows into my bedroom as forcefully as it does the main area. So it's
Oh,
also like I got to crank it constantly so that we get the airflow going. You know what I'm saying?
sure.
I think it's taken a day. Like last night, like I don't think my sleep was as good yet because I don't think the air had fully circulated.
Of
Now
course.
I'm in a meat locker and I couldn't be fucking happier.
Oh, yeah. When it comes to sleep, it needs to be colder
Yes.
in the room.
And
Yeah.
listen, when I was in the height of some of my PCOS symptoms years ago, I kept it at like 67 to sleep because I was always hot. Like hormonally, I was
Mhm.
always hot. Now that my hormones are more regulated, I'm not. So I do find that's a little too chilly for me. Not right now. Not this week. Put another blanket on the bed. Even Bean, when it's this
Mhm.
cold in here, and this is saying something because she's a Chihuahua who wants to be as hot as hell. Like she will
Sure.
burrow under blankets, she'll lay in the sun. Even Bean, when it's been cold in here, like 20, because I was worried. I was like, oh, this is gonna be too cold. No, she's sleeping on top of the blankets. I think
Oh.
she's over it. Like, I think it's been too hot for her. So I was like,
hmm
it's not that cold in here, is my point.
Sure.
Because if she's shivering, obviously I'm going to turn up the heat. No, nobody worry. There's no concern in my life bigger than the comfort of this 6 pound dog.
Of
Make no
course.
mistake.
Also,
She's
to
not
be
though.
clear, if she was cold, like she'd burrow.
Hmm.
If she's cold, she's going to find a blanket, she's going to get in somewhere, and she's going to nestle.
Oh yeah, that nap we took together, which first of all, fucking dream. Napping with a
Yep.
small dog is one of the greatest.
Mm.
Sleeping with a dog, but a nap like Peaches and I used to nap together because I she couldn't sleep in the bed overnight. She was just a little too little and a little too frail.
Sure.
Bean is more spry, so like if I move, she adjusts.
Of
Peaches, I
course.
think I might have risked her life. So anyway, but we would nap together, and it is I just think one of the greatest, most delicious joys in my life. I love it so much.
I think that's great.
Yeah, but normally Bean's under the blanket with me. We're spooning. It's beautiful. This nap, I woke up and I was like, she's climbed out on top. She was too hot in there.
She's like, give me the meat locker.
Give me, I think she's been warm, is what I like. She hasn't been panting or anything, but I think that I think it was for the Chihuahua dog who loves the sun and the heat. I think even her, she was like, no hotter, please.
Yep, it was too pushed. She was pushed.
She, yeah, she's pushed.
And now
I
she's
was
like,
pushed.
thank God she finally got into her senses.
It was so hot, just for context. I don't know what, I can't remember if I told people this, but the hallways were air conditioned. It's just that our units weren't. It's a
Right.
mystery. Anyway, but people on my floor were propping their doors open any
Mm.
time of day that they were at home so that airflow would come in. I didn't do that. I mean, it's a mess in here and I don't want people peeking. I don't want people seeing how I live.
Well, also, I would be, no, thank you. Like, I don't want random people walking past and looking inside. No, thanks.
Oh, I was a
I,
looky loo. I was an absolute looky loo. I was like, a lot of plants
s-
over there.
not saying I'm not.
Yeah.
I don't need people like me looking at me.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
This is I'm attacking myself when I say I don't want people looking in here. Because I don't blame them. I get it.
Oh yeah. I would just always constantly be concerned about safety.
Oh yeah.
I'm sure it's fine, but I'm a nervous Nelly.
Oh, you and me both.
That's
I go to bed every night. And then I get up out of bed, I get comfortable, and inevitably have to get up to go and make sure the door is locked every night. One night I
mhm.
slept, I didn't do it. I got up the night, I said, I'm Lauren, don't give in to it. Don't give in to the anxiety. Go to sleep. You always lock the door. Go to sleep. I woke up the next morning, the door was open, not locked. That does not do good things for your own anxiety.
The one day you convince yourself you've done it.
Yeah.
Get your ass to bed, and then
Yep.
you get up the next day, you haven't done it.
Absolutely didn't do it. I feel fairly safe in here, you know.
Sure.
But yeah, look, we do this podcast for a living. We know how this goes.
We know things. Yeah.
We've seen things.
Yeah. Too
We've
many
seen
things.
things.
Yeah.
Um, Listen, also just to tease, when we started this record, we started getting into the case because I am very excited about today's episode. And then I kept saying, I was like, we have to stop talking because we have to save this for the show. I am jazzed, is my point. Just so
Oh,
jazzed.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I it's going to be a longer one than my notes are longer than usual. It's just there's a lot of stuff, but then there was no part of my brain that considered splitting it anywhere.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh, let's just do it all and move on. I don't want to give her 2 episodes. You know
She
what I
doesn't
mean?
deserve it.
Because that's what she'd love it. That what was that tone? We all know. We all
Yeah,
know.
absolutely.
Just it's as a parent, it's not hard to get mad at a child. It's even easier to get mad at other parents.
I get that. I get that.
So I have a lot of thoughts. And I mean, obviously we'll get into that.
Oh, yeah, we're going to get into all of it. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I'm very burpy. I know that I don't need to bring it up again. You're
I
going to love
mean,
this. I think it's because I slept so well. What? You're also chugging a Diet Coke, you monster. Like, what are you talking about?
maybe I don't know science. I'm just trying to,
Yes,
anything
and
positive for
me.
you. Yeah.
Yep.
Maybe you slept so deeply that your like stomach and internal system were finally able to like work at a proper pace. And so it worked overdrive and caused a lot of gas.
I think that's possible.
I have no idea. It sounds right
Yeah, I
to
think
me.
anything's possible. Anything's possible. I had some sushi earlier this week, and I'm going to say it. I'm not like when I was younger, I was quite gassy, farty, and I haven't been as much typically as an adult. But
Sure.
I had some sushi last week and I was ripping them. And I'm like, does that mean it was like almost not good? Like, I don't know. Should we be ripping farts because of eating sushi of all things? Like, it doesn't feel right.
I I live in a house of men.
Mm,
my whole like my whole world is farts. Like every everybody in this home, mostly those four, just so many farts. Like
Yeah.
one of them farts on command. He does the
What?
like joke where he can like point at his butt, stick his little butt out and his just like rips it.
Which one?
The middle one.
Really?
Yeah, the one who I described the other day to my husband as having real Ferris Bueller energy. I stand by it.
I see
Stand by
that.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, farting on demand.
Yeah. Oh, and like he cracks his bones in a way that, like, at first you're like, oh, huh, okay. And then you're just like, this is something's wrong with him. Something
Right.
is physically wrong. Like it feels uncomfortable. Um,
I
but
don't love cracking bones. That's a hard one for me.
oh, sure.
Like I don't like when people crack knuckles and stuff. Like,
Oh,
ugh.
I'm almost constant with the knuckle cracking. But I mean, when I say crack knuckles, I mean he cracks his fingers. He will tilt his head and it pops multiple times in a way that I'm like, that's not right. Same with the other way. And then he'll like grab a foot, crunch his, and you hear his toes, all of everything popping. And I'm like, this doesn't sound right. And it creeps me out. And he knows that it does. So he waits till I'm around to start cracking his bones.
Oh God.
Yeah. Again, I live in a house of boys. There's a
Yeah.
reason we have girl cats because I didn't want to be, I knew I'd be outnumbered anyway, but I didn't want to just be me and everybody else is male. Then I learned after the fact that male cats tend to be more affectionate than female cats. So that's a real joke. One of my cats is incredibly affectionate. The other one, oh, she's a bitch, but that's not the point. She's mean, uh, dislikes me so much, but now sits at my feet anytime I go to eat something.
Mm.
Specifically, only if I have meat. Doesn't
Oh.
matter what kind of meat, she's at my feet. For lunch today, nobody was eating meat, and she was glaring at us from across the room. Like it was almost like she was like, too good for meat. Mm. Like she was very unhappy about it. Um, love her, but God, she's a challenge.
Mm.
She's a challenge. She's not what I expected when when we looked into getting cats. Um, but it could be worse somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm already surrounded by farts. How much worse can it be?
Well, yeah, there is that.
Again, something is always dirty
Mm.
at all times. I have a cat that, while affectionate, will go and find socks anywhere, doesn't matter, and we'll just start bringing them to the living room. So I have socks everywhere.
Hmm.
Why? And she's so proud. She like calls out to you as she's bringing it. So you hear her from down the hall. You hear like an because she can only say so much because her mouth is full of sock. And she will walk down the hall and you're just like, oh, here she comes with a sock. And yeah, there's somebody's sock.
That's
Sometimes
adorable.
it's a bundle of socks. Like sometimes it's like the pair of socks all rolled into a ball. She'll bring those.
Does she think she's hunting? Like, does she think it's a dead
I
mouse?
I think she thinks we're terrible hunters because we never hunt anything, and so she's doing the hunting. She's like, "Here you go, lazy ass." Like I think that's what her thing is. She thinks she's contributing to the home.
And that's beautiful.
And at one point, like at some point, it is cute, but then when you're just like covered in socks, you're just like, this is too much. And you can't. My husband historically is known for like when he gets up, he'll have the socks, but he won't put them on and he'll like put them somewhere and inevitably loses them. Well, also because we have a cat that goes around behind him and sneaks them and goes and puts them somewhere else. So then he's wandering around going, where's that thing of socks I put there? And I'm like, I don't know, ask Cheddar. Because that cat will put them literally anywhere. It's a nightmare. And it's a reason. Again, wouldn't trade this home for anything. But again, I live with so many boys. it can be a lot. So it should come as no surprise to you that I've started getting into the squish world.
Oh God, this is so awesome.
Now, people kept telling me, get the dumplings, get the dumplings. I could only find these tie-dye ones, and then I found some other ones that were a solid color. And so I was like, okay, I'll get some of each because I want the rainbow secret one. I want the rainbow one. That's my goal. So I opened the tie-dye ones. It feels like there's a gel or something inside. I'm not crazy about them. They're fine. My youngest loves it. Shoved it in his backpack. He's like, I'm taking that to school. And I was
Oh,
like,
that's a high value
I'm
item
like,
for sure.
are you allowed? And yeah, he apparently it sits in his desk and he squishes it all day. And I'm like, good for you. He's like, so many other people at school have them. I'm like, great, fine. Then I open these other ones and they're called a slow rise. So inside it almost feels like a sand and they're
Yes.
so much nicer to squish. He wanted the one that I opened, which was fine because it wasn't the rainbow. So I was like, my God, go ahead, have it. So he now has the one at school, and now he has one that sits and he just sits and squishes it the whole time that he's like on a phone or watching something. And I'm like, okay, I get it. Like he's super into that. And I've offered some of the rest of them to friends of his, and they're taking them, which is a beautiful and great thing. So the slow rise ones I'm into. But then I saw this one and I got it for myself because I was like, why not? I think it's an official jet puffed. It's a little marshmallow.
Oh my God.
And I'm too scared to like really squeeze him as much as I want to, but I do often like he's so soft in my hands and I do often just sit and squeeze um his little face.
Well, can you just show me? Can you give me a squeeze? Oh, wow.
Like
Okay.
he's see that scares me to make it balloon, but he also
You know
has
what's
like
funny
a
is
a
we
fake marshmallowy scent,
oh,
but it's just off enough. Like it's marshmallow, but smells like it was made with computers. You know what I mean? Like if that
yeah.
makes any sense. Like it's an electronic marshmallow. I know that doesn't make sense, but
No, I get it.
he's just very cute, pleasant, you know?
Well, listen, first of all, congratulations and welcome. We talked about, I don't know if we talked about this on the show before. We definitely talked about it over on Patreon.
Right?
I started getting into squishies. Now,
Hmm.
I don't know if did I tell you that my favorite squishy, now on the outside of it, it was sticky and I don't like that. It's gross. Anyway,
Yeah.
for me, it's gross. Um, anyway, I got it over time. It became not squishy, fantastic, or
Hey.
not sticky, fantastic. But I really liked squishing it. It had all these beads inside of it. It was like really, really
Mm.
satisfying. It did explode. I did go too hard. I did go too hard one day and all these tiny beads went everywhere and it's like gel went everywhere and I'm like, this is cancer. There's cancer everywhere. Like for sure I'm not supposed to like handle this or breathe it in
Mm.
or whatever.
Hmm.
Now, do I have a backup one that I bought before in case of this?
Sure.
Yes. Have I opened it yet? No. Is that because of fear? Yes. Have you heard about Nitos?
I've heard about them. I've also heard that they are tough to find at this point.
Well, you're in luck because guess what? I was on a whatnot auction
Hmm.
and these Nitos are going for like 40 bucks a piece.
Wow.
Crazy. And on most auctions, they're going for that much, but I went onto an auction, there wasn't a lot of people there. I got one for like 20 something, which is like half price. Now, it ended up being more with the shipping, but I sound like I'm promoting whatnot and I shouldn't be. I should be gatekeeping. Don't get on there because then the prices are going to go up for everybody. I kid. But here's the thing: you get free shipping. Like you buy the first one, pay for shipping. It's like you kind of should buy a second item because the shipping's free then, right? My second one I got for 16 bones. That is unheard of. Long story short, I've got two fuzzballs coming my way, which a lot of people say is their favorite of the Nitos, and I can send one of them
Oh.
to you. I don't need both.
I I'm convinced that these squishy things are the new fidget spinner. Because fidget spinners were
Oh yeah,
huge
yeah.
and now not so much. But now it's like everyone just wants to squish something. And I'm like, everyone just wants like a stress ball,
Yeah.
which makes sense.
I like the sugar ones. I have that one in LA,
Mhm.
remember? And I should have brought it with me. It's like a sugar squish, but then it has a like flocked, it's like it's in a fabric sleeve.
Oh, the bear one.
Yeah. It's really satisfying.
I did find some of those, which I'm now now realizing weeks later
Mm.
that I didn't pull the trigger on that cart. I remember making the order. I
Yep.
just didn't follow through on it. Um, I did find them on at some online like small toy store thing in Toronto.
Really?
So there are some in your city.
Hmm.
Gonna take me a minute to remember
Gonna need you to
what it
forward
was.
me that information.
But it was like you could pick which of those bears you wanted. But I was like, because I wanted something soft. I liked the idea of it like having a plush on the outside. I mean, this guy, he's so soft in your
Oh,
hand.
most of my feed on TikTok is squishies now.
Oh, I get that.
It's the crash content and squishies. That's all I'm being shown. And I'm not mad at it. Um, there's a few on there. I'm gonna send you some videos. I am jazzed that you're in a squishy phase because like let's go on this ride together. The
Yeah,
cheese is the one. There's like a viral cheese that I really
I've
want.
heard
Have you
about that.
seen the cracking one? There's one where it's wax inside and you squeeze and it cracks.
Weird. I've
Ah,
been I've been talking to myself about should I get the stick of butter?
I'm oh, have you seen the videos where people coat the stick of butter squishy in wax and let it harden and then they just crack it for like for ASMR?
I
I really
I can
like it.
honestly say I haven't seen any squishy content.
Well, buckle in, Christy Lynn, because guess what? You're going to be getting it from me. You're going
I
to be
couldn't be
getting
happier.
forwards from me. Here's the other thing, folks. Christy isn't on TikTok, and I primarily use TikTok. So if I want to send her something, I can't really send her a link. It doesn't work because she doesn't have an account. So I download these videos and then I send her videos manually, which feels like I'm 80. Um,
Hmm. Hmm.
I have so many videos saved on my. I should really cull the phone because I've got so many things on there that I'm like, I don't want this. I just wanted her to see it. Like,
I get that. And I get that I should just up and make a TikTok just for the moments that you want to send me TikToks. Like that's I don't use it. I literally only follow you and then like that's it. But then we know that's a slippery slope.
yeah.
As if I'm not going to be like, well, I can't just follow. Like I've got to have like a few follows. And then next thing you know, uh-oh, did I accidentally post something? Like it's gonna be too much. I already feel it.
Yeah.
I think that's why I keep trying to talk myself out of getting one. Because I'm like, some days there's already too much time on Instagram. How much more am I going to give to TikTok?
TikTok has me by the balls. I am in an absolute chokehold.
I I didn't for the life of me think you were going to say by the balls, but I'm delightfully charmed.
Yeah, it just does.
I'm shocked that they don't use that as their tagline.
TikTok, we've got you by the balls.
Yeah,
Yeah.
accurate.
Remember when it was going to go away and I was having like an existential crisis?
I do recall when they were like, that's it for it. It's gone. And then it was gone for
Stupid.
like a day,
Yep.
and then it came back.
I came back.
Yeah.
I remember where I was when it went away, and you're going to love this. I
This
was
is
at
your
a Chili's.
JFK.
I was at a Chili's and I knew it was happening that night. And then I
Mhm.
opened it and it was like, it's gone. And I was like, well, thank God I'm here with these mozzarella sticks. The hot mozz, thank God.
So what we're saying is TikTok leaving is your JFK assassination because you remember where you were when.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
Just as traumatic for you.
Yeah. I think it's also because I've like worked really hard on there. Like I've been really consistent in posting and I was
Of
like,
course.
I really have tried. And the idea that in a, dumb snap of the fingers. It could just go away. It's like, fuck, like that's just so annoying.
I get that.
And to be clear, I don't care about followers. It is that is the world that's the world we live in now. Where like as an actor, they ask you how many followers you have and shit. Like it's not that I'm like dying for social media attention at all. It's more that it's like a part of the whole fucking world, the creative world now. Like,
Of course, which is
I'm just trying to
insane.
play the game. You know what I mean? I'm just trying to be in the game.
Yeah, and you were doing great.
Yeah. Now I mostly open toys on there. I mean,
I
it's a
get
damn
it.
dream.
I get it. Have, I started out where I had a single folder on my phone where I record a video that I'm going to unboxing something. I put it in that folder. And then that's the folder I take out of to be able to post every day. Well, now I have a second folder because now I've started just randomly opening things and doing other things other than the regularly scheduled unboxings. So now I have to have the second folder so I don't get confused between the two. And then those are every once in a while just sprinkle them in.
Yes, I'm in a bit of a pickle too because I pre-recorded so many unboxing videos, like over
Mhm.
100. For to be clear, I've posted like 60. So I've got like 40 videos ready, but now that I've paired with Whoopi and they're sending me products, I have to put those out first. Then there'll be other like one-off things that I'm like, "Oh, this is cute. I want to do this." And I'm like, "I haven't posted one of those videos in a couple of weeks." And now I'm like, "Oh my God, like I can't not post them." But then it's like, I mean, I guess I'm just gonna have to up. Now I'm gonna be posting multiple times a day. It feels like, oh,
Mhm.
and then I'm like, I need to also be promoting my damn music. That's the other, I need to be consistent with that.
Yeah, again, unboxing is a slippery slope because you start thinking, oh, I could do one. I started with, I'll just do every other day. And then that turned into, well, obviously I'm going to do every day. And now it's every day, and some days it's multiple times a day.
I fully acknowledge that I have an addiction. Like, I fully acknowledge that the
Hmm.
amount of time, energy, thought, money, all of those things, like, I get it. And what's funny is that when people online will come at me and say, like, this is just a gambling addiction. First of all, no, it's not, because I often will buy things that are confirmed, bitch. It's not just about the dopamine, about what am I going to get. And
It's an addiction, not just gambling.
that's exactly it. I'm like, just don't, I will fully admit I have an addiction, but don't tell me I'm addicted to gambling. That's not true. Okay? Put it where it is.
Put it where it is.
Label it correctly, sir, because I'm certain that the only people that have been pushing back at me on there are men, and I don't feel bad about saying that.
No,
Straight
no.
men, to be clear. Um, yeah, like I acknowledge it, but again, you know, if I bought like two luxury items, then I would be at the same amount of money spent. Like, this is what it is.
Well, that's the thing. It's like there are so many other things um that I could buy. Like I don't buy I don't know. What's a luxury thing?
Like
I don't
expensive
buy.
purses and stuff.
See, I don't I don't own really any designer anything. The I have really two pairs of shoes that I wear, one of which I bought with you after we went to Disneyland in 2015 when those shoes were the ones I wore to Disneyland were so uncomfortable that afterwards I was like, I have to get another pair of shoes. And we went to Target and I bought a random pair of shoes. I still wear those fucking shoes. They're almost dead. Like you
It's
can
it's been
hear
it's been over a decade, my love. It's time.
it is time. The problem is, and God, I'm realizing I'm annoyed with my child for doing the exact same thing that I'm doing. Um, these shoes, bless them, have been with me for so long, but I tied them the first time I bought them. I haven't tied those bitches since. Those are a slip on, slip off. I don't know what this hand movement is. Me putting on a shoe, I guess. Um, but those are like I can slip in them, go out, kick them off, not a problem. Like I don't have to tie these things. They're an easy in and off, on off shoe. And I keep like I have another pair that I wear if I'm going to be walking further. They're more comfortable, but they're a tie them, untie them because I wanted them to last. These ones, they've obviously lasted even though I only tied them the one time.
Great point.
My middle one, he got these shoes for school, because they always get new school shoes in the summer. Um, and he tied them the once and they're loose enough that he can just on and off. They're tight enough that he can walk around, run, whatever he needs to do, but he can easily take them on and off. Well, his feet are growing, so he needs the next size up. So he had got a pair of shoes for Christmas because I didn't know what to get him and made him look at all these websites and he picked some random things. So I bought him these shoes. Well, they're a little narrower than what the like skate shoe is that he's wearing now. And so he doesn't like them as much because he has to keep tying and untying them every time he takes them, puts them on. And he kind of did that for like a week and then got so annoyed. He's just wearing shoes that are too small because they're easier to put on and off. And I was like, dude, that's so lazy. Just tie the other ones. And I'm realizing in this moment, bitch, you do the same thing. Like your shoes, these things are dying. You're soon going to walk outside and feel the grass under your feet because the sole has worn away. And yet, they're an easy shoe, so I'm going to keep wearing them until I literally take a step and leave the soles behind me. Like, that's just how it is. But I'm like, this makes sense. He just wants the same thing as me. God, all of my kids lately have done something that I've gone, oh, yeah, that is really me. So it's nice to see me in there.
You're looking in a mirror.
It's not as nice sometimes to see what's reflecting back. It's nice. It's nice to know that I'm in there somewhere.
Yeah,
Hmm.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I'd like to send you some shoes.
Get shoes. Okay, look, I'll write a note. I don't know when I'm gonna go. I have so many things to do in the next week. But you know what? Before the next episode, I'm gonna have bought myself a new pair of shoes. And I know I said last time, no, the time before that, I said I was gonna do the whole art thing. We're putting a pin in the art thing because I still haven't got a time to get around to that. Tomorrow, I'm writing down shoes. Tomorrow, I'm looking into it. So I will write a note at the beginning of the next episode. We'll talk about the shoes that I have purchased.
I'm going to be very proud.
We're gonna see how this goes. I always hate shoe shopping because I have a wider foot, so I'm gonna need a comfort. I also specifically prefer men's shoes because they tend to be wider than women's, but men's shoes don't tend to have the fun colors I'm looking for. God, I don't know if I could pull off a fun color. Fuck, who cares?
On that note, what you drinking over there?
Shockingly, um, just a Slurpee.
Yeah,
I'm not even drunk. I'm just yelling at myself about shoes.
you're high on life. And as am I. I'm on my second Diet Coke in a row. I haven't had any
Ooh.
today, so I'm all good. But yeah, just trying to get my brain sharp for what we're about to do because I've got fuzzy nap brain. But you know what? It's going to come back when we start talking about the crash. Couldn't be more excited. Let's get into it. If you're not familiar, don't worry. I'm going to get you up to speed. Speed!
I
Right
like
now.
that.
In July 2022, two young men were killed after the car they were in ran into a brick building going nearly 100 miles per hour. The lone survivor of the crash was the driver, 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla, who claims to have no memory of what happened. After finding nothing physically wrong with Mackenzie or the car, police believe that Mackenzie intentionally ran into the building in the hopes of killing her boyfriend and possibly even herself. Was the crash just a tragic accident caused by reckless youth? Or was it murder? What happened to Mackenzie Shirilla? And just how angry can Christy get at a set of parents? Stay tuned to find out.
So this one, yeah, this one is a bit longer than usual, so we're just going to get to it, but you'll love what makes it longer. As if I'm not going to talk fun facts about the location of where we're
Of
talking.
course.
It's my favorite part. So
It's your
obviously,
passion.
it is my passion. Today's episode takes place in Ohio, which is nestled gently between Indiana and Pennsylvania in the Midwestern region of the United States. Ohio is home to 8 major professional sports teams, including Cleveland Cavaliers for basketball, Columbus Blue Jackets for hockey, Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals for football, Columbus Crew and FC Cincinnati for soccer, and Cincinnati Reds and Cleveland Guardians for baseball. And speaking of the Cleveland Guardians, throughout their social media posts in 2019 and 2020, they hid 39 pictures of Nicolas Cage in their lineup graphics. It was like a scavenger hunt that absolutely no one realized was even happening. One example I'll put in our case file over on Instagram and Facebook at True Crime and Cocktails. Nick Cage's face was put into the center of a flower tattoo on the arm of pitcher Mike Clevenger.
Brilliant.
When asked why they chose Nicolas Cage, the Guardians organization said, quote, "He's our national treasure. And if there's anyone who could possibly understand randomly inserting Nicolas Cage into things, it's us." I
Yeah.
just love that they did it 39 times and no one noticed, so they had to turn around and outright say, "This is what we've been doing. Go back and try and find them." Bless them for that. Ohio's state bird is the cardinal. The state mammal is the white-tailed deer, and the state frog is the American bullfrog. The state rock song is Hang On Sloopy, which was recorded by the McCoys in 1965. The Ohio State University Marching Band played their own version of the song at a football game in October 1965, and it was such a hit that it is still played at football games to this day. The football team is the Buckeyes, and they play in the Big Ten Conference in the NCAA. I don't know college football, so I don't know what any of those things mean. Um, but I didn't have time to look up what it means to explain it, so I'm just going to distract you with a fun fact. Did you know that the Ohio state flag is the only one out of the 50 states that isn't a rectangle? I had no
No.
idea there was one that wasn't. It's called a swallowtail shape, meaning it goes narrower at the end, like to the right. Um, and it has a V shape at the end, so the flag has 2 points as opposed to just a straight line at the end. I put a photo of it in our case file for
Of
those who
course.
are interested. Ohio's state beverage, tomato juice. Didn't see that coming.
Great
Um,
on planes.
There we go. Ohio is home to the first professional fire department in the country, which was built in Cincinnati in 1853. And Akron, Ohio, was the first place in the U.S. to use a police car. It was added to the police department in 1899, and the first time it was used was to pick up a drunk civilian. Yeah. Things invented in Ohio include the cash register, hot dogs, phonographs, rubber, light bulbs, Superman, Lifesavers candy, and professional baseball. In 1869, the Cincinnati Red Stockings were the first baseball team paid professional wages to play. They toured throughout the country and played anyone willing to make a team. The Red Stockings won all 57 games that were played. I
Hmm.
also like how many teams now are called like Sox, but these were the Stockings. I liked that a lot for
Yes.
no reason. Ohio is home to the Football Hall of Fame and to a museum dedicated to A Christmas Story because the movie was filmed there in 1983. Ohio is also home to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame because Cleveland DJ Alan Freed was the first person to coin the term rock and roll.
Huh.
Fun large things in Ohio include, but are not limited to, the world's largest basket in Newark, which is a 7-story, 180,000 square foot building that is the headquarters for the Longaberger Basket Company. The
Hmm.
world's largest cuckoo clock is in Sugar Creek and stands 23 feet tall. The world's largest rubber stamp is in Cleveland and measures roughly 49 feet long. Columbus is home to the world's largest ping pong paddle, measuring over 11 feet long, and the world's largest gavel, which is over 31 feet long. Warren, Ohio is home to the world's largest drumsticks, which are 23 feet long and weigh roughly 900 pounds. They were created in 2009 in honor of Warren native Dave Grohl. And they were moved to an area that is called Dave Grohl Alley in 2013.
Hmm.
Other famous folk from Ohio include Halle Berry, Katie Holmes, Beverly D'Angelo, Steven Spielberg, Molly Shannon, Drew Carey, Guy Fieri, Clark Gable, Arsenio Hall, Paul Newman, Martin Mull, Robert Patrick, Sarah Jessica Parker, Allison Janney, Terry Garr, aviation pioneers the Wright brothers, voice acting legends Jim Cummings and Nancy Cartwright, and basketball legends LeBron James and Stephen Curry. Thank you for indulging me with my Ohio fun facts. It is easily my favorite part of researching and a nice break from the darkness. But speaking of researching, in anticipation of today's episode, I watched the 2026 Netflix documentary The Crash, as well as season 2, episode 7 of The Mean Girl Murders, and season 4, episode 12 of Killer Cases. So, disclaimer for the day, this episode will contain mentions of suicide, so trigger warning for those who need it. Earlier in the episode, I mentioned that this takes place in Ohio. More specifically, we're talking Strongsville, which is a suburb roughly 18 miles southwest of Cleveland. At 6:15 in the morning on July 31st, 2022, a passerby called 911 after finding a car banged up on the lawn outside of a pipeline development company building. When police arrived on scene, they discovered a Toyota Camry which had been involved in a high-impact crash. The vehicle was completely crushed and it had clearly come into contact with the corner of the brick building as pieces of the vehicle were scattered across the lawn. When police ran the license plate, they found the car was registered to 17-year-old Mackenzie Shirilla. Inside the vehicle, Mackenzie was found in the driver's seat with her seatbelt on and her head pinned under the dashboard. While Mackenzie initially appeared to be unconscious, she was somehow still breathing. Two other occupants were found in the car, seemingly stacked on top of each other. Likely, the impact of the crash caused the backseat passenger to be thrown into the front seat. Neither had been wearing a seatbelt, and it was clear they both died on impact. The jaws of life were used to get Mackenzie out of the car. Despite some obvious broken bones, she was conscious and coherent enough to identify the two other victims as Dominic Russo and Davion Flanagan. Davion Markel Flanagan was described as kind-hearted with a great sense of humor and an infectious smile. He was a gifted athlete who played running back for the Strongsville High School football team until an unfortunate injury brought an end to his sports career. Davion then decided to follow his dreams of opening his own barbershop. So after graduating from with Mackenzie just 1 month earlier, Davion had plans to attend barber school in the fall. Davion Flanagan was just 19 at the time of his death. Dominic Anthony Russo was described as bright, goal-oriented, and kind. He had dreams of becoming a singer and one day starting his own clothing line. He was also considering joining the military. At the time, he was making a good living for himself through stocks and investments. Dominic and Mackenzie had been in a relationship since her freshman year. Dominic Russo was just 20 at the time of his death. According to court documents, Mackenzie told medical personnel on scene that she wanted to die and said it was her fault for killing her boyfriend. Due to some internal bleeding, Mackenzie's condition was considered critical, so she was airlifted to a nearby hospital where she had multiple surgeries to repair a lacerated kidney, a lacerated liver, and damage to both carotid arteries. She also suffered 3 broken ribs, a broken femur, which is the thigh bone, and a broken humerus, which is in the upper arm. Despite the injuries, based on the site of the car, it is miraculous that Mackenzie survived at all. So, how did the car end up colliding with a building? Well, the night before, Mackenzie, Dominic, and Davion went to a party thrown by a girl named Kelly. According to friends, Kelly's party was, quote, too chill for Mackenzie, so they left after about 20 or 30 minutes and went to Dominic's house. Dominic's mother technically owned the house, but Dominic was renting it from her, and Mackenzie had recently moved in. The friends soon heard there was a sleepover party happening at Paul's house, so they headed there. Apparently, it was a usual thing to have a party where people went there knowing they were going to party and then just fall asleep. I mean, I get the context of like sleepovers. I've just never heard of like a large group doing this. It's not a surprise I'm not one with the kids, because I certainly was not one with the kids when I was a kid. So Mackenzie falls asleep around 1 a.m. I assume that Dominic and Davion also slept, but it was never specifically said. Around 5 a.m., they decide they're going to leave. Mackenzie was the driver, Dominic was in the front passenger seat, and Davion was in the back seat. Security cameras show Mackenzie driving the vehicle south on I-42 and making a right-hand turn onto Progress Drive at 5:34 a.m. She slows down before the turn, uses her turn signal, and appears completely in control of the vehicle. 50 seconds later, security cameras from a business on Progress show the vehicle whizzing by at an intense speed before it crosses Alameda Drive, jumps a curb, and collides with the building. The sound of the impact is horrific, especially knowing that that was the exact moment that 2 young lives were taken. After the crash, the vehicle sat there for 45 minutes before anyone noticed, which isn't that big of a surprise given the early hour that the crash occurred. So, how did the vehicle go completely controlled to out of control in less than 2 minutes? Well, either it was a tragic accident that involved substance use, um, some sort of medical episode, or a vehicle malfunction, or we're talking something much, much darker. So, police said at first they believed the crash was caused by reckless youths under the influence. After inspecting the vehicle, police found a small amount of marijuana as well as 7 or 8 grams of mushrooms in Mackenzie's jacket. When police searched Mackenzie's social media, they found countless videos of her taking mushrooms and almost daily videos of her smoking pot, sometimes while driving. And while that may be shocking to some parents, it certainly wasn't shocking to Mackenzie's, because Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, not only followed her daughter on social media, but often liked her daughter's posts. And I'm all for being supportive of your children and whatever they might do, but there is not a chance in hell that I am ever going to like a post that shows my child getting high, especially when they're a minor. Mackenzie's father, absolute wiener of a man, Steve Shirilla, said he outright knew that Mackenzie smoked pot and he absolutely didn't care. In fact, in text messages between Mackenzie and Dominic in March 2020, Mackenzie complains her bong had broken. Specifically, it was a bong belonging to, I think, one of Dominic's brothers, if I'm remembering correctly. But her whole thing was she was now upset because she had no way to smoke that day. Dominic then tried to talk her through making a homemade one. Mackenzie said that was too hard. So then she said she was going to ask her dad and came back and said, quote, "My dad just gave me a bong." In March 2020, Mackenzie was 15. In the documentary The Crash, Steve said, and I quote, "I knew she smoked dope. I didn't have a problem with her smoking dope. I don't have a problem with me smoking it or you smoking it. If you're going to take a drug, That's the one I believe you should take. It's better than alcohol. It's better than all that other crap. Yeah, Steve. Pot is probably safer than something like, I don't know, heroin or crystal meth. Um, but it's incredibly dangerous for a teenager to smoke it at the levels that Mackenzie was. To be clear, I am not poo-pooing anyone who wants to smoke pot. You do you, my herbal friend. My issue is when kids are involved, and for those who think I'm just a square, let me prove that you're right, because I'm about to get sciency. The endocannabinoid the endocannabinoid system, or ECS, is a system in the brain that regulates and controls bodily functions like emotional processing, temperature control, pain control, coordination, sleep, learning, mood, appetite, memory. Well, according to a study in 2013 by the Canadian Centre on Substance Abuse, and I quote, consuming cannabis regularly during adolescence interferes with the function and development of the ECS. As a result, youth who use cannabis regularly are at risk for harmful effects on their mental health and cognitive functioning. The earlier that individuals start regular use, the more impaired the nerve connections become. The frontal part of the brain, where the ECS is located, is one of the last brain regions to develop, and a reminder that the human brain isn't fully developed until 25, and some studies even show the brain growth continues into your 30s. My point here is it is wildly dangerous for a teenager to be smoking pot every single day. It might seem cool, but it is genuinely harming their brain development. So it frustrates me to see parents like Steve and Natalie being so nonchalant about it. You're not being cool parents, you're being neglectful. And while police thought that Mackenzie might have been under the influence during the crash, a toxicology report stated that there were no mushrooms or alcohol in Mackenzie's system and only a small amount of THC consistent with smoking marijuana hours prior. Again, with sciency, she had about 2 nanograms per milliliter um, in her system. They say that it doesn't really like fully start impairing your abilities until about 10 nanograms. So if it wasn't substances that caused the crash, was it some sort of medical issue? Well, according to medical records, Mackenzie had no history of neurological problems, no history of blacking out. And according to court records, first responder Brett Stanislaw noted that Mackenzie's pulse, motor function, and sensation in her 4 extremities were all normal when he arrived on scene, which, in his medical opinion, ruled out stroke, seizure, or other significant neurological emergencies. Brett did also say that it might have been possible that Mackenzie could have had a seizure before anyone arrived on scene and the symptoms were gone by the time she was examined. He'd said her blood oxygen level was extremely low, which could indicate someone who just had some sort of cardiac arrest. So, is it possible that Mackenzie had some sort of medical issue during driving? I'm not a doctor. I guess it's possible. But based on the lack of tire marks at the scene, we know the brakes were never used. And based on the vehicle's data recorder, which I will get into in a moment, we know Mackenzie's foot never let up off the gas pedal. Now, if Mackenzie had some sort of medical episode, wouldn't that mean her body would possibly go limp and maybe she
Yes.
would ease off the gas?
Yes.
Again, I'm not a doctor. It just doesn't make sense to me for the gas pedal to be fully engaged if the driver was having a seizure or was passed out. Maybe I'm wrong. And if the pressure on the gas pedal wasn't enough to convince me that Mackenzie was fully in control of that vehicle, there's the road itself. Seconds after turning onto Progress Drive, Mackenzie sped the car up to over 97 miles an hour. Progress Drive is not a perfectly straight road. There are multiple bends to it, not to mention at the end of the street where that brick building is located, there are trees and a large sign on the lawn. And despite the intense speed she was going, Mackenzie was able to keep the vehicle on the road and avoid multiple trees and a sign in front of the building. If she was unconscious due to some sort of medical episode, she likely would have veered off the road at some point or hit something before getting to that building. So, if the crash wasn't caused by substance abuse or a medical episode, then maybe there was a problem with the car itself. The vehicle in question was a 2018 Toyota Camry. When a forensic mechanic inspected the Camry, they found no sign of mechanical failure. The braking, steering, tires, and acceleration were all in proper working condition. There was no sign of any sort of vehicle malfunction. They did note that one of Mackenzie's slippers was stuck to the floorboard. Now, Mackenzie's family argued that the slipper being stuck in that position proves that Mackenzie was unable to move her foot off the gas pedal prior to the crash. However, it appears the floorboard literally crumpled around the slipper in the impact, meaning it wouldn't have been stuck prior to hitting the building. It's just they hit so incredibly hard that the floorboard just crumpled around the shoe. The car data recorder, aka the electronic data recording system, or EDR, recorded the last 5 seconds before the crash. During that time, the gas pedal or accelerator was at 100% use and the brakes were at 0%. So Mackenzie didn't use the brakes or ease up on the gas at all. Um, The EDR also noted that in those few seconds, the car was shifted into neutral and then back into drive, and there was some movement with the steering wheel as it moved right, left, and then did a hard right. The hard right makes sense because the primary impact was on the passenger side of the vehicle. So if there's nothing physically wrong with Mackenzie or the vehicle, I mean, it kind of then looks like the crash might have been intentional. So, what do we know about Mackenzie Shirilla? She was born in August 2004 to Natalie and Steve Shirilla. Apparently, she has an older sister, Danielle, who exists, yet absolutely no one talks about her. Friends described Mackenzie as kind and loyal. However, a lot of other kids said once Mackenzie got to high school, she became mean, toxic, and aggressive. Many of her former friends described Mackenzie as wanting to be like Regina George in the movie Mean Girls, which came out the year that Mackenzie was born.
Oof.
And look, I love to see a movie that is so iconic that youths are still enjoying it decades later. Fun fact about Mean Girls: Jonathan Bennett, who stars as Ultimate Crush Aaron Samuels, was born in Ohio,
Huh.
bringing it back. But for anyone who's seen the movie Mean Girls, Regina George is not the goal to aspire to. Is Rachel McAdams fantastic in that role? Absolutely. Is Regina a horrible person who only cares about herself? 100%. And it's really telling when that is the sort of person who Mackenzie wanted to be. Is it possible that deep down she was a good person who only pretended to be like Regina George to seem cool to other kids? Sure. Uh, there are countless photos and videos of on Mackenzie's social media that prove just how important her image was to her. For example, there is a TikTok from 2021 which features the quote, "I'm not even cool. I'm just one of those girls that can do a lot of drugs and not die." She then added the words on the screen, "Google Mackenzie Shirilla, Strongsville, Ohio." And in the video, Mackenzie can be seen deviously smiling like the Grinch when he first gets the idea to rob Whoville. And I'll overlook the fact that this like 16-year-old girl is openly posting her face, her full name, and where she lives on the internet. I won't be a nana and say how absolutely dangerous that is, but as a parent, it's terrifying. And while there is a lot of social media content that Mackenzie posted that I could comment on, I won't. At the end of the day, these videos and photos were posted by a child. Who knows what kind of garbage I would have posted to seem cool at that age? The thought of me having Instagram or TikTok at 16 makes me physically ill. I'm absolutely relieved that I never grew up with it. So I won't judge or shame Mackenzie for those videos. She was a child addicted to social media and desperately looking for attention, regardless as to whether it was good or bad. But for those who came to today's episode hoping to hear me lose it on this child, don't worry, it's coming. Because while I won't judge her for the content she made, I will judge her for some of the choices she made after the crash, and for her overall attitude. Because honestly, she comes across as a spoiled, entitled, immature, manipulative brat. According to her friends, Mackenzie desperately wanted to be an influencer and a model, and companies would send her clothes to model online. Her ultimate goal was to be Instagram famous. I've said it before, I'll say it again. Dream bigger. But she's a child, and that, unfortunately, is the world she is currently growing up in. But Mackenzie didn't seem to care about anyone other than herself. According to school records, there were multiple incidents that involved Mackenzie verbally assaulting teachers and other students. In one incident, a teacher asked Mackenzie to be removed from their class as the teacher was not comfortable being filmed by Mackenzie or by being verbally attacked in front of the other students. From the best I can tell, that same teacher referred to a time when Mackenzie was asked to zip up her hoodie, and Mackenzie responded by calling the teacher a fucking bitch and a dumb bitch. When the school suspended Mackenzie over one such incident, Mackenzie's father, Steve, showed up at the school and asked Mackenzie if she did it. When Mackenzie said no, Steve said, "Well, that's good enough for me." In the documentary, he said, quote, "I know when my daughter lies." Oh, Steve. I don't think you know a single true thing about your daughter, except for the image of her that she has carefully portrayed to you. Do I know Mackenzie personally? No. But based on the videos, phone calls, and text messages that I have seen and heard, she absolutely seemed like the kind of person to tell a teacher she's a fucking bitch. Um, I don't know if Mackenzie had fully manipulated her parents into believing she was a sweet, nice girl, which seemed to, when she was treating people like dirt, or if her parents were just so concerned about being their daughter's friend that they didn't see what was really in front of them. But good Lord, they followed her on social media and liked posts where she was drinking and doing drugs as a minor. If I saw a video of one of my children at the age of 17 smoking a joint while driving their car, they'd not only lose their phone pretty fucking fast, they'd also be losing that car. And I'm not talking take the keys away for a bit. I'm talking selling the fucking thing. Driving a vehicle is a big responsibility. And if you prove you can't handle that responsibility, you aren't driving, period. It's not safe for you, and it is certainly not safe for other people on the road. Owning a car is a privilege that you need to earn, not something you are handed because you're a privileged brat. It was clear that Mackenzie wasn't used to hearing the word no, and her parents didn't create any sort of boundaries. In the documentary, her mother, Natalie, said, quote, "She wasn't a bad kid. She didn't need to be disciplined a whole lot." Yeah, from the looks of it, I don't think she was disciplined at all. Again, when Mackenzie was just 15, Steve outright gave her a bong to use, and a year or so later, he let her use the vodka that he had to make cocktails.
Ugh.
In the documentary, Steve said he's not a perfect parent because no parent is perfect. And that is honestly the only thing that man has said that I agree with, because no parent is perfect. But he has made so many terrible choices as a parent that he was just setting up Mackenzie to fail. And speaking of poor choices, in the documentary, Steve is wearing a t-shirt with the comic book style lettering that says boom. At first, it seems like an insensitive thing to wear when interviewed for a documentary literally called The Crash, especially when the noise from said incident which was played repeatedly in court, is a loud boom. Steve claims the shirt came from a true crime YouTube channel called Crime Circus, which has dedicated videos to defending Mackenzie in this case. And Steve thought wearing it on such a public platform would be his way of saying thank you to the YouTuber for their support. Um, I went on Crime Circus's merch page. It wasn't there. I had to Google Crime Circus Boom to find a link to the shirt. So it is there if you look for it. So I don't know if Steve was just being a dummy. I don't know that he meant anything malicious by it. It was definitely tone deaf. And just another example of how little he actually thinks things through. Um, your child is smoking weed daily and posting it online. Well, at least it's not a harder drug. Your 15-year-old broke her bong. Better let her use yours. Heaven forbid she doesn't smoke that day. Am I being too harsh on Steve? I did call him a wiener earlier. Um, but to be clear, people online are so much worse to him than I've been. Um, there are texts between Mackenzie and Steve where between midnight and 3 in the morning, she would text him asking for warm milk. The internet is having a field day with that. We just don't have a lot of time to get into that because there's just so much here. All I will say is in her text with Dominic, Mackenzie did make multiple references to needing warm milk before bed. I'm not convinced it was a sexual thing. A lot of the internet is convinced it was a sexual thing. I could be wrong. But if nothing else, I knew I had to at least touch on it because I think the people would be disappointed
Yes, it's
if I
definitely
didn't
been a
say.
huge narrative in the TikTok world, the coverage of this. My
Oh,
feeling is that it's code for smoking weed. My feeling is that that's proof that her and her dad were smoking weed together, which by the way doesn't seem that radical considering all of the rest of the weed and drugs and
of
drinking and stuff that
course.
seems to have been going on in that house. I do know there was one time where she said, "Don't tell mom," which makes me wonder if there was like if she
Interesting.
was smoking a lot of weed. Was there like again, I'm completely speculating, but I don't know that I buy that it's actually warm milk. But I agree with you. I don't buy that it's automatically sexual. Like there's a lot going on in this family, but I don't know that we need to like jump to an incestuous father-daughter relationship. I
Sure.
don't feel like we've seen anything else that would indicate that. But anyway, my 2 cents.
Agreed. At the time of filming the documentary, Steve Shirilla was an arts and digital media teacher at Queen of Peace School in Cleveland, just days, like 3 or 4 days after the documentary was released, the school placed Steve on administrative leave for demonstrating poor judgment. Steve has since announced he will not be returning to the school in the fall. It has not been stated whether it was his choice or the school's, but Steve blames Netflix for how they edited his comments.
Okay.
Sir, your entire rant about weed was one shot, one unedited shot. I'll let that sit there, you wiener. Anyway, nothing makes me laugh more than saying the word wiener.
Oh,
But
he's yes.
just what a ridiculous man. But before we get into more about Mackenzie's behavior, let's talk about her and Dominic as a couple. Mackenzie and Dominic started dating during Mackenzie's freshman year and remained together for 4 years. Repeatedly in texts in the last like few months of their relationship, she made comments about them being together for 4 years. So then, from the best I can tell, they would have started dating when Mackenzie was about 13 and Dominic was about 16. And I know 3 years doesn't seem like a big deal. I just don't love it. 16 and 19 doesn't seem as bad to me. There's just something about 13 to me that makes it feel like a big difference. Possibly I'm just overly protective. I think of myself at 13 and go, I would not have been ready for that.
Mm.
But, everyone's different. In the Crash documentary, Mackenzie's friend Rosie says Mackenzie and Dominic fought a lot, but not as often as people make it seem. However, I read through hundreds and hundreds of text messages sent between Mackenzie and Dominic between 2020 and 2023. And I'll say it, That relationship was a mess. I know they were young and immature. It just felt like constant fighting, which always led to threats of breaking up and then them getting back together, sometimes within minutes. And yes, if you're interested in reading through the text yourself, just head to the City of Strongsville, Ohio records request portal and search the name Shirilla. You will find dozens of documents and PDFs. The car inspection report is there, the toxicology report, clips from phone calls, police body cam footage, all of the above. And one of the things is a PDF that includes nearly 32,000 pages of roughly 93,000 text messages between Mackenzie and Dominic from January 2020 to July 2022. That is 93,000 texts over about 941 days. That's almost 100 a day.
Jesus.
And that's
That's more than
assuming
us.
that shockingly, yes. And sometimes there were moments they broke up that I assumed they wouldn't have been talking that day. So some of
Right.
them weren't, like, some days there were probably none. So I can't even begin to imagine. But it is a lot to go through. So I just really focused more on recent stuff, and then I kind of skipped around to like get the vibe, as it were. Again, I know they were teenagers at the time. There was just so much unnecessary drama. Like there were times if he didn't respond right away, she would respond with repeated texts demanding to know where he was and then calling him a little bitch for not responding to her.
Jesus.
Um, then there was one where he hadn't responded in a while. He then said to her, I was in the shower, and she responds, I don't care. And if Dominic did something she didn't like, Mackenzie would immediately tell him, well, then just break up with me. Or she would threaten to break up with him unless he did exactly as she asked. And I get they were young, but the entire thing was incredibly toxic rather than the whole soulmates narrative that her family has put out. And while that might seem unfair because I didn't know their relationship personally and I'm only basing it on text messages, I just want to give you a few examples of things that I saw. In March 2020, Dominic went to some sort of a concert with his friends. Mackenzie asked to see him after. He said no because he wasn't going to have the time. Mackenzie then complained he never has time for her. And then she just kept repeating requests like over and over and over again, and he wasn't responding. Um, and finally, when he's not responding to her, she finally writes, quote, my UTI meds might have canceled out my birth control. I'm scared.
Oh dear.
Now, I could be misinterpreting, but to me, that sounds a lot like he might see me if I threaten there's a chance I could be pregnant.
Yeah.
At the time of the conversation, Mackenzie was 15 and clearly very immature. I am not convinced that she matured much over those next few years. So on July 2nd, 2022, just weeks before the crash, Mackenzie and Dominic were fighting, and it gets to a point where Mackenzie says, just break up with me. Of course, it's teen speak, so it's just the letter J. J, break up with me. And Dominic responds, I did. He then follows it with a very dramatic goodbye. Mackenzie sends some sort of a picture that I wasn't able to see. He then says, quote, I love you, but I don't think we should be together at this point. He then comments they've been fighting weekly. She says nothing for 4 hours. Then she responds, you can't keep doing this. Are we talking or not? He just said you're over, but okay. They, of course, did continue to talk and remain together. I'm not judging it. They were young and immature. I'm just pointing out, I don't think it was the beautiful love story that they're trying to claim it was, because her family is like, they were soulmates, absolute soulmates. And I'm like, it did not sound like it.
Yeah.
So 2 weeks after that conversation, Mackenzie's back to challenging Dominic to break up with her. She then threatened to call the cops on him, although she never gets specific about what. Um, and when Dominic says he's done, Mackenzie gives him a time limit. She says, You have 2 minutes to respond or I'm blocking you. And when he tries to respond, it's like talking to a brick wall. And she would just say, like, the timer's going. You have 2 minutes to say something so I won't break up with you. And this was the pattern. He would say or do something she didn't like, and she would either tell him to break up with her or she would threaten to break up with him while demanding that he does what she says. During a text argument on July 18th, Dominic says he's done with the relationship. This is at 12:49. At 12:58, Mackenzie shows up at his house and demands to be let in. She calls Dominic immature and says if she leaves, he's single when she goes. She leaves. He then decides he's going to go to Chipotle and he texts her and asks her if she wants food. So I'm like, God, they're fighting, but I do love that he was like, she's going to want a snack. Maybe that's why they were fighting. Who knows? So they end up fighting more. And then in all of this, she's threatening to break up with him. She's calling him terrible names, all of the above. And then in the middle of it, she's like, yeah, so here's my order. And she lists off her food order that she wants and then continues telling him she's breaking up with him. Then it gets quiet for like 30 minutes. And then Mackenzie asks if her friend Rosie can buy some pot off Dominic. So it's just like they went all over the place. Keeping up with whatever they were fighting about at any given moment was exhausting. And I know they were young and immature, but that's not how good old Steve saw them. After graduation, Mackenzie moved in with Dominic, and Steve said, and I quote, even though she was 17, we felt she was mature enough for that.
Wild.
Oh,
Wild.
oh, Steve. It's cute that you think you had a say. Mackenzie was going to move in with him whether you liked it or not. But it's interesting, he felt she was mature enough to move in with her boyfriend, and yet after the accident, according to the police body cam footage that I saw, Steve told an officer that Mackenzie was dumb. Um, so was she mature and ready for an adult life, or was she just a dumb teenager who didn't know any better? It's like Steve was changing how he described Mackenzie depending on the situation to try and change how someone might perceive his daughter. She's moving in young. Oh, she's super mature, practically an adult. She crashed a car and killed two people. Oh, she's dumb, practically a child. When Mackenzie was asked about the crash, she said she blacked out, hit her head, and couldn't remember anything. First of all, if you blacked out, how do you know you hit your head? You probably should have switched that. Hit
Yep.
my head, blacked out. But, what do I know? Um, she said she remembered going to the parties the night before. She remembers waking that morning and driving, but after turning on to Progressive Drive, her memory is blank. After making that turn, she only remembers waking up in a hospital. And slight amnesia from a crash of that magnitude seems reasonable, but there is something I don't trust about her. According to a police officer's body cam, when Mackenzie was interviewed and told they were looking at the crash as vehicular homicide, Mackenzie asked to speak to her mother, who was in the room with them. She then turned to her mother and started speaking in some sort of weird language that was like a gibberish, almost pig Latin, where they add "isa" after syllables. So at the time, the officer had no clue what the fuck was going on. But weeks later, someone watching the video cracked the code, and it was determined in that moment. Mackenzie turned to her mother and said, quote, "Can we tell the police I had a seizure? Can we tell the police something like that?" After speaking the gibberish to her mother, Mackenzie said to the police officer, quote, "Can't you just take my license away for like 10 years?" So she knows she was responsible for Dominic and Davion's deaths, and she thinks losing her license for a decade is enough. It doesn't sound like there's any level of guilt here. It feels tone deaf to me, like how Mackenzie was posting selfies from her hospital bed as though her friend and boyfriend hadn't just died. I also realized I don't think I come back to talk about this secret language. I want to say I'm fucking creeped out that they had a secret language. I'm creeped out by it. I don't know what it is, but I don't like it. And I want to know, was it just the three of them? Did the older sister know this gibberishy language? I don't know.
So
It
they've
feels
addressed it in an
weird.
interview since, and they said it's called Carney. The language is called Carney.
Uh-huh.
And I believe it was Natalie said that her parents would use it around the house when she was a kid to talk about things that so the kids wouldn't understand them. Like it was like if they needed to have like an adult conversation, they'd speak in Carney so the kids couldn't understand it. But then, of course, at some point, I guess when she was older, they taught her how to speak it. And so then she passed it on to her kids. But what's funny is that they were asked point blank, like, well, what is this secret language that you were speaking in front of the police? And they were like, it wasn't secret. We weren't keeping secrets. But it's like, but you then said that your parents did it as a way of speaking in front of the kids
Mm,
to tell secrets. So it's like,
hmm.
again, they're just, I think wiener is a great word. I think they're both a pair of wieners. I think that's the truth. But anyway, that's what I know about that.
It just, again, what I love is the idea that it was a language they used so they could talk about adult things in front of children, and she taught it to her child. It just, oh God. Okay. Well,
Maybe it was a thing where like her parents taught her when she was a teenager, so this was like she was passing it on in the same way. I don't know. The language is creepy to listen to for sure.
yeah. Oh, I don't love it.
Yeah.
I'm weirded out by it, and it just feels suspect that it's like, why do you think you need it?
Well, because she
How
was literally like, can't
how
we tell them I had
many?
a seizure? Like, can't we
Right?
make something up?
Oh, 100%. It's like, why did you ever think there would be a world where it would be like, we're going to need to speak in front of people, but we're not going to want them to know what we're saying?
Well, it's also their fun little secret thing, right?
Oh, this
Like,
makes the mom think she's a cool girl in high school.
yeah.
That's, oh, gross. Ah, anyway. So, oh, right. I was bitching about Mackenzie posting selfies from the hospital as though her friend and boyfriend hadn't just died. You know, the boyfriend that Mackenzie described as the love of her life and the ones she said she couldn't possibly go on without. And I'm not suggesting she should stop living her life. Um, but to feel that going without a license for 10 years is a proper punishment for taking two lives, even accidentally, is wild. And while it might sound as though Mackenzie didn't feel any remorse, her father Steve said, quote, "She has remorse. She was upset. She was 17. She's just a kid. She didn't do it on purpose." Just a kid or super mature? Because you've said both about the exact same time frame, but I'll let that go for now. Um, Steve also claimed that he sat with Mackenzie every day for months while she cried over Dominic. He said, and I quote, "I sat with my daughter for 3 months, watching her watch every video, every song, every picture of that boy." Honestly, I don't like him referring to Dominic as that boy because he did so more than once. Like when describing Dominic, Steve said, quote, "The boy wasn't hurting for money, and I think that helped Mackenzie a little because Mackenzie likes things." Is he saying his daughter liked Dominic because he bought her stuff? Either way, it just feels disrespectful to speak about Dominic so flippantly, especially when he claims Dominic and Mackenzie were planning on getting married. They're the only ones who are ever saying that. Um, But just to back up one little second, Steve said Mackenzie spent 3 straight months crying over Dominic. Well, I mean, you don't mean every single day, right, Steve? Because on September 17th, just 48 days after the crash, Mackenzie attended a Playboy Cardi concert in Cleveland, a concert she was originally going to go with Dominic. And I get it. At some point, you have to move on and continue to live your life, but don't suggest she was locked away in her bedroom crying for 3 months straight when she was out attending a concert. And then on Halloween, exactly 3 months after the crash, Mackenzie went to a college party at Ohio State. A lot of people said it looked like Mackenzie was dressed as a zombie. Her friend Rosie, who attended the party with her, claims they were all just dressed as Playboy Cardi. And then she said the very painful, a young person would know that. I know. Snotty. What a snotty fucking thing to say. I also, this is the time I learned that Playboy Cardi was a thing.
Yeah.
I've never heard those names together in my life. So I had no idea who that was. Understood. I'm not a young person, but still. Um, and again, I get at some point you're going to go back to living your life as normal. But if it wasn't for her posting crying selfies, there would be no indication of remorse at all. But posting those crying selfies kind of just felt performative to me. Maybe I'm just a cynical bitch, or maybe I'm onto something. Because again, to me, if you're grieving and all of that, and you're still like, I'm still gonna attend this concert, that's one thing. But I don't want to judge what she was wearing, but she wore some very little clothing for someone that was grieving. And you want to grieve with your nips out? Okay, great. But it just feels what she was putting out in the world and what she was claiming were two separate things. To be like, I was so heartbroken, I couldn't do anything. And then I couldn't do anything but get super wasted at this Halloween party.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
know?
I can't imagine killing two people.
Yep.
I can't imagine recovering from that ever. Like
Oh,
knowing that you killed two people, like regardless of how, why, whatever,
yep.
your actions killed two people. Like I know we all grieve differently, but yeah, it's a massive red flag to me that like a month after that happened, it's like here I am at a concert. Like what?
Oh, yeah. You don't go to that concert.
Well, for a multitude of
So
reasons,
many reasons.
but the least or the biggest of which to me is like how are you functioning? Like I'm not suggesting that it's like you have to lock yourself in a bell tower for the rest of your life, but I can say that I probably would want to. You
A hundred
killed
percent.
two people. Like that's so fucked.
If I'm responsible for two people's deaths, I'm not taking selfies from my hospital bed. I'm not.
It's so fucking
There
creepy
were
to me.
also issues where her mother contacted the police to say that someone was cyberbullying Mackenzie, and they're like, "What can we do? What can we do about it?" And they're like, "Well, nothing." He's like, "We as police can't do anything. What you can do is have her not be on her phone." And her
Stop
mother
posting. How
her
about
mother
that?
was like, "Oh, yeah, I guess." And I'm like, "You're not even gonna try that. You're not even gonna try it." And hey, while posting um at the hospital, she would post like older pictures of within the last few months, I think, of herself posing in various outfits. And some sort of brand or modeling agency reached out and commented on one of those pictures and asked if they could post some of Mackenzie's photos on their website. Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, replied to that comment, thanking them for the opportunity and saying that Mackenzie had been trying to contact them. She then added, for absolutely no fucking reason, quote, "It was a tragic accident and she did not purposely mean to put an end to any of her friend's life. This is just as painful for her as it is for everybody else, or maybe even a little bit more painful." Heart emoji.
Now, if I may, very quickly, because I'm
Mhm.
a psychopath that's super obsessed with this case.
Could not
So
love
I
this more.
paused to really dissect because there's screen grabs of that
Sure.
conversation. Mackenzie's dad, and I've seen it in interviews since too, that aren't in the documentaries, has said,
Hmm.
well, it was a modeling agency. No, it fucking wasn't. If you go back and zoom in, and yes, it's very hard to see, but the comment that was left for her was, hey, do you mind if we share this on our socials? Or do you mind if we share this on our website?
Sure.
That is not a modeling agency. That's a brand of clothing that she clearly tagged in the photo, who then were just
Mm,
saying, hey, can we share this? By the way, that's happened to me before. I've done the same thing. If I go to an event and I'm wearing a specific designer or company, tag it,
sure.
and I've had the same thing. Hey, is it cool if we share this? That's not an opportunity. And it was the fact that the mom was using the term opportunity. And then Mackenzie eventually replies also. And it's like, thank you
Yeah.
so much for this opportunity. She is in the hospital recovering from a car accident that killed two people. And she's
Mhm.
taking the time. Like, it wasn't an opportunity. They literally
Correct.
were just going to repost the photo. Like, this is what's so insane to me. It wasn't a modeling agency. You're lying. And final thing, imagine for a second being the social media intern at whatever that clothing brand was, who, by the way, obviously doesn't follow Mackenzie. How would they even know of her? So it just came up in her feed,
Yep.
right? The brand, it just came up in their feed. They say,
Yep.
oh, there's a beautiful young girl wearing our things. Hey, is it cool if we share this? And then what you get is a response from this kid's mother saying she didn't mean to kill those two people. Like, can you imagine the conversations
Mhm.
happening at that workplace?
I mean, if nothing else, she really helped them go, well, I guess we're not going to repost it. I don't know if they did or not.
I don't either. I just love the idea that either the group chat or the Slack channel that that company is on is going, hey guys, what do we think of this? Like, it's just such
Hmm.
lunacy. Anyway,
Hmm.
please continue.
Oh, yeah, to add in like to add that is insane. All of it. Like oh God, I don't even know. I don't even know. But I love that I wrote all caps, Natalie. What the fuck, girl? It's more painful for Mackenzie than it is for the parents who lost their children,
Oof.
or,
Oof.
for the siblings who lost their brothers. Davion's father said it best in that documentary, tone deaf.
I know. I
Read
loved that
the
moment.
fucking room, Natalie.
Tone deaf was
Oh,
amazing. I was like, yeah, that's a great word for it, bud. That
yeah.
is
This
absurd.
family just, I don't even know. But then, of course, what's worse is Mackenzie then responded to the comment saying, thank you for the comment. I would love to work with you guys. I've been emailing a lot. Such a great opportunity. Thank you. To your point, she's not working with them at all. They're just using her.
She was asking for free product. That's what this is. I'm unanimous in this. Like that's a Laurel, that's a mother Laurelism. But I just know that I'm
Hmm.
right. This was not a modeling opportunity. This is not a
No.
modeling agency. It is a clothing company. She liked the clothes. She was or jewelry or shoes, whatever the fuck, and was
Hmm.
like emailing them like, please, can I get a PR package? That's what this is. It was
It
not an
did. There
opportunity.
was a comment about like she's been trying to email about a PR
Yes.
thing. Yeah.
I'm telling you, because companies send out PR packages to influencers. She was trying to be an influencer. She just wanted free stuff.
Yep.
Period.
Oh, 100%.
So gross. And even, by the
Yeah.
way, even if it was a modeling agency, which I stand by, it was not, what the fuck? You can't do any modeling. You have multiple broken bones. You're laying in a hospital bed because you just got into a car accident that killed two people and badly injured you. You're
Yep.
not going to be walking a runway anytime soon. She was in a wheelchair at the fucking concert.
Correct. Yeah. Oh, I just said if she was as devastated about the crash as she claimed, is she really jumping on this? Why would she have been posting it to begin with? Why would she have been tagging them? Um, but if she really thought they were giving her an opportunity, wouldn't she have just said, now's not a great time? Or maybe just stop posting altogether? Apparently, this accident did not put things into perspective for her, that there are more important things in the world than social media. Again, I understand that after a death, at some point, you must move on. It just feels like she was trying way too hard to be back to normal way too fast for everything that occurred. Um, and the police seem skeptical of Mackenzie's behavior as well, because on November 4th, just 5 days after Mackenzie posted about that Halloween party, and 96 days after the crash, Mackenzie was arrested on 4 counts of murder, 4 counts of felonious assault, and 2 counts of aggravated vehicular homicide. She was also charged with one count of drug possession for the mushrooms they found in her jacket after the crash, and one count of possessing criminal tools for a digital scale that was also found on her person. Since Mackenzie was just 17 at the time of the crash, she was initially charged as a juvenile. But after a 3-day hearing, a judge agreed that Mackenzie should be tried as an adult. Mackenzie's lawyer offered a deal that would have meant basically just probation for Mackenzie. And thankfully, the victims' families said no. While in jail awaiting trial, Mackenzie spoke on the phone to her mother, and they were talking about all the press the case was getting. The two women laughed when they said the case had made worldwide news. Natalie then suggested maybe Kim Kardashian would reach out, and Mackenzie said, quote, "I want Kim Kardashian to be my lawyer." Mackenzie then said how she wants to meet Kim because she owns every piece that Skims has ever put out. If I'm going on trial for murder, I might try and find a lawyer with experience as opposed to a reality star with no trial experience. But maybe that's just me. Also, while in jail, Mackenzie asked her mother to get into Mackenzie's Instagram account and change the name to Free Kenzie. Her mother, Natalie, then suggested that maybe Mackenzie start writing a book.
It's too much. It's too much. Listen, you know what? This is a long one. We've got lots more to get through. Let's take a quick break, hit the can, and we're going to be back with more. And I am buzzing that this isn't over yet. We're going to be talking more about the crash on this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. 2 on 3. 1, 2, 3. Welcome back to this episode of True Crime and Cocktails. We're, of course, discussing the crash. Before the break, Christy told us the absolutely audacious comment made by Natalie that Mackenzie should start writing a book. Again, like your daughter is going to fucking trial for murdering two people. Like, it just feels like such a disconnect from reality. All of those jailhouse conversations between her and her mom. I'm like, do you not understand the gravity? Like that people have fucking died?
It's almost
It's
like they
crazy.
truly didn't know what was going to happen and that they've both bought into this whole it wasn't her fault.
Yeah.
But yet, even then, even though they were like, couldn't have been her fault, even then, there doesn't seem to be a what a horrible, horrible thing those families are going through.
Yeah.
None of that. At this point for them, it's like, what a horrible thing we're going through,
Yeah.
which is
The injustice of it, which is
wild.
fucking crazy.
It's just insane. I can't imagine being in jail for murder and laughing on a phone call about anything, being overjoyed that the case has made worldwide news because great news, Kim K might see it.
It's
It's
really,
just I I just can't. I don't even know what to say. Ah. So in Ohio, the defendant gets to choose whether they want a jury trial or a bench trial, which means just with a judge. Mackenzie chose a bench trial, I assume because even she knew she doesn't come across as likable to the public. So I assume they knew a jury would eat her alive. The trial started in August 2023. When Mackenzie showed up in court, she looked wildly different from the persona that she'd been posting online for years. There, at this point in court, there was no makeup, no fancy hairstyle. It made her look so much younger than she was. She also had kind of a sling on one of her arms, which the prosecution said there was not a medical reason for, which I greatly appreciated that. Um, the defense argued that prior to the crash, Mackenzie had a medical emergency which caused her to pass out. Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, testified that in 2017, Mackenzie was diagnosed with postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, also known as POTS. It is a blood circulation disorder that can cause dizziness, fatigue, fainting, and a fast heart rate when a person stands up from a seated position. Apparently, there are some cases where the symptoms can happen when a person is seated. So the defense argued that POTS is what caused Mackenzie to pass out while driving, which then ultimately caused the crash. But the defense was unable to produce medical records showing that Mackenzie was ever diagnosed with POTS by a professional, and they weren't able to find a doctor who would testify to that diagnosis. There were also no medical records stating Mackenzie had ever randomly passed out before. Natalie's mother said, quote, "I tell everyone that she has POTS." She added Mackenzie could pass out at any time. The prosecution, who, I'll say it, what a man, then questioned, well, if it was possible that Mackenzie could pass out at any time, why did you allow her to get a driver's license? To which Natalie said, well, her symptoms are under control.
So which is it?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm not a doctor. And again, I've asked this before, but I'm going to ask again. If she did, in fact, pass out, wouldn't her foot have eased off the gas pedal as her body
Yes.
relaxed? We know from the car data recording the gas pedal was pressed 100%. Is it possible that for someone to pass out and keep their foot on the gas? And if she was passed out, how is it possible that she managed to remain on the road? How did she turn the wheel just enough to avoid the trees on the property? The defense argued that since the car data recording showed the steering wheel moved 3 times and the car shifted in and out of neutral in that last few seconds, then it's possible that Dominic or Davion, who were both not wearing seatbelts, tried to stop the vehicle. Her lawyer then suggested Dominic grabbed the wheel purposely to cause the crash. Um, then it was said that just 2 weeks before the crash, Dominic and Mackenzie were driving together. Dominic called his mother to say, Mackenzie's driving erratically. I need someone to pick me up. So Dominic's mother sent a friend named Christopher, who called Dominic to get his exact location. During that call, Christopher alleges he heard Mackenzie say, I'll crash this car right now. Mackenzie denies that happened. She said in that incident, it was Dominic who almost caused an accident, not her. In her text messages between Dominic and Mackenzie, Mackenzie repeatedly said Dominic grabbed the wheel. He was trying to end her life. He then repeatedly said that is not what happened. Repeatedly, she would not hear otherwise. And honestly, the anger and the violence between Mackenzie and Dominic continually got out of hand. During a text argument in August 2021, Dominic claims Mackenzie threatened to stab him in the eye. Mackenzie responded, quote, maybe if you just had my back, you wouldn't be threatened.
Jesus.
So she didn't deny it. She just turned the blame around and put it on Dominic. This allegedly occurred after Dominic interrupted her and made a joke that Mackenzie didn't like. In March 2022, Dominic accused Mackenzie of hitting him, pulling his hair, throwing a rock at him, and threatening to key his car. Mackenzie responded she only did that because he was recording a video of Mackenzie freaking out. The more he recorded her, the more violent the violence escalated. Dominic said he only started recording her because she was driving erratically. The prosecution also showed videos from Dominic's mother that Dominic had secretly taken on a friend's phone during a fight with Mackenzie on July 21st, just 10 days before the crash. Dominic was inside his house, refusing to open the door, while Mackenzie is banging on the door, demanding to be let in. Dominic says she needs to leave because he's going to have dinner with his grandparents. Mackenzie says, like hell you're going. She then claims he kicked her out. He then says, you're the one who packed your stuff and left. Dominic suggests he will come outside so they can talk. Mackenzie refuses, saying, we're not fighting outside. She then threatens, if this phone call hits 5 minutes, we're breaking up. There were more threats of breaking things, calling him names. She repeatedly said if he didn't open the door and let her inside, she would key his car. She broke something on the front of his door. It was just a full-on temper tantrum. And somehow, in the middle of it all, Dominic then invites Mackenzie to dinner with his grandparents. No judgment. I'm just pointing out that regardless as to how intense their fighting got, they never seemed to just agree to go their separate ways. They were incredibly toxic. And since the prosecution was able to show how quickly Mackenzie was willing to escalate to violence, they argued the lack of brakes meant that Mackenzie intentionally ran the car into the building. The odds of Mackenzie surviving something like that seemed so low, so if she did it intentionally, she would have done so knowing she might also be taking her own life. The defense argued that's an impossible theory because Mackenzie wasn't suicidal. Mackenzie's friends said Mackenzie loved herself too much to be suicidal, which is a statement I love a lot. Um, but to that, I also say, you don't know what someone is going through. She could have put on a big front and been something else completely inside. Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, testified that Mackenzie never once ever threatened her own life and would never willingly put her own life at risk. But in March 2020, police were called to the Shirilla home after Mackenzie, then 15, threatened to take her own life.
Oh my God.
The police report stated that Mackenzie was not taken to the hospital because her parents said they didn't believe the threats were real. So they were obviously real enough that the police got involved. So what was it? Did she threaten to take her own life? And the parents didn't want it in the police report, so they wouldn't let her be taken to a hospital? Or is that police report somehow wrong? Mackenzie's friends and family deny she would ever do this intentionally. And sadly, as long as she continues to have no memory of the accident, whether that is true or not, we'll never know what happened in that car in those last few minutes. The defense suggested since Dominic and Davion weren't wearing seatbelts and the steering wheel got moved, it's possible one of them tried to grab the wheel, whether intentionally to cause the accident or to try and prevent one after Mackenzie passed out. I just I just don't buy it. Do I think it's possible there was some sort of a fight and she threatened to kill them all and then the car was going so fast that she couldn't stop it in time? I do. But even if that was true, she's never going to admit to it because that would mean accepting that she'd made a fatal mistake and that she was truly responsible for Dominic and Davion's deaths. Cell phone records show that Mackenzie drove that same route just 3 days before the crash. The prosecution claim it was a dry run for this supposed accident, but a police officer testified that the route was a cut through that many people use to avoid traffic, and he said drivers do often exceed the speed limit at that on that strip. Now, the posted speed limit for Progress Drive is 35 miles an hour. On the night of the crash, Mackenzie's car reached upwards of 97.8 miles. So I don't think that's just an exceeded the speed limit. I think that's kind of well beyond what somebody's doing just to cut through. Mackenzie denies that she would ever put Dominic or Davion's lives at risk, calling Dominic the love of her life and Davion a really good friend. I will say it's interesting how often Mackenzie threatened this supposed love of her life. And on July 18th, less than 2 weeks before the crash, Mackenzie's was complaining through texts to Dominic about the fact that Davion had blocked Mackenzie on social media. Dominic replied, saying he would tell Davion to unblock her, and then later said, well, Davion didn't even realize he had you blocked. You blocked her because she was a bit much. We all feel it. We know. So in the end, the judge said the video of the crash clearly showed purpose and intent. She said it wasn't reckless driving, it was murder. Mackenzie Shirilla was found guilty on all 12 counts. During the sentencing hearing, people were given the chance to say something in court. Mackenzie read a very brief apology saying, quote, I hope one day you can see I would never let this happen or do it on purpose. Multiple members of Dominic's and Davion's families spoke, and then Mackenzie's mother, Natalie, got up and said Mackenzie would never emotionally or physically recover from this. Well, she seemed pretty jazzed in those Halloween photos. And she also didn't have any sort of bandage or anything. So I would say she was physically recovered as well at that point. But, I'm not a doctor. Um, she also asked for leniency for her daughter, saying it was just a tragic accident and Mackenzie doesn't even remember it. The judge, who I love, said, quote, I'm hearing a lot about your daughter and nothing about Dominic or Davion. Natalie then tried to recover and said, oh, yes, Dominic. And Davion was a new friend. We didn't really know him. This family's lack of empathy is wild. Yeah, your daughter was sent to prison for a while, but you can still speak to her every single day. That is a luxury that I bet both the Russo and Flanagan families would love to have. Treating Mackenzie like she's the most affected person in this case is wild. I get wanting to support your child, but I really don't think that Mackenzie's parents have helped this situation at all. Like how when Dominic's family asked to see Mackenzie in the hospital and Natalie said, well, you can't see her because she's unconscious. And she kept saying that for 3 days, even though she was very much awake. So they clearly just didn't want them speaking to her daughter, possibly because they hadn't come up with a reasonable thing that they were going to say yet.
Right.
Allegedly. Mackenzie's father, Steve, said, quote, what if Mackenzie was yours? How would you feel? Honestly, Steve, can I be honest with you? I'd feel embarrassed that I let her get away with as much as she did prior to the crash. If I saw a video of my child flashing a wad of cash while smoking a bong on the internet, I'd be embarrassed. If I heard a video of my child threatening to key someone's car if they didn't let them inside despite being told to leave, I'd be embarrassed. If a teacher said my child called them a fucking bitch, I'd be embarrassed. Am I the perfect parent? No, because that person does not exist. Everyone makes mistakes. We're all just making up this entire parenting thing as we go. But if my child was responsible for the deaths of two people, whether intentional or not, I would never say that my child has suffered the most out of everyone in the situation. The lack of empathy in these people is astounding. They only seem to care about themselves, which makes sense as to why their daughter turned out to be a selfish and manipulative brat. Asking if she could tell the police she had a seizure just to make this whole thing go away is astounding to me. And then when the police say, yeah, we're investigating this as a potential vehicular homicide, Mackenzie has the audacity to say, can't you just take my license away or something? There is not an ounce of empathy or remorse there, and her parents should be deeply embarrassed. But I'm not surprised they aren't, because in a phone call between Mackenzie and Natalie during the trial, Mackenzie complained that the prosecution was trying to make Dominic look like a respectable young man, and Natalie referred to Dominic's family as evil people. I thought he was the love of your life. You're upset that the love of your life was being described as a respectable young man? I can't even with this kid. It's also wild when you think that in the first few days of the hearing, Dominic's father sat with Mackenzie's parents because he believed it was just an accident. And then he started hearing about it and went, and went and sat elsewhere. But to call them evil, I mean, look in a fucking mirror. Anyway, Mackenzie was sentenced to 2 terms of 15 years to life to be run concurrently, which means she will be eligible for parole in 2037. Davion's mother said that by running concurrently, it kind of feels like Mackenzie's serving the same amount of time that she would have served if there was only one other person in the car with her. And I agree. I don't think it should be concurrent at all. Or at least I hope in 2037, fingers crossed that's where she still is. I hope that they look at it and go, oh, she's doing two concurrent. She should just stay and deny her parole. But who knows? Uh, Overall, Mackenzie maintains her innocence. She will say she's not innocent because she was the driver, but she says she is absolutely not a murderer. She said Dominic was the love of her life, and if this hadn't happened, they'd probably be married by now. She described their relationship as rocky, but good, saying they were a story of classic young love. Mackenzie said whenever she argued with Dominic, she never got angry, she just got sad. Based on the texts that include words in all caps, outright threats, repeatedly sending the same word in a text 7 times in a row. There was a time where she told him to respond and she just kept saying the word now 7 times in a row. I'd say you got angry, especially since we've all heard the video of you trying to break into Dominic's house. And to be clear to all the people out there, especially the young people, this is not a classic young love story. If this is the kind of relationship you are in, I beg you to get out. It's not healthy for either of you. Just move on. But that's not the narrative the Shirilla family wants to push. Mackenzie says she has no recollection of that morning, but she believes the crash was caused by a medical emergency. And from the sounds of it, Mackenzie is continuing her do whatever the fuck she wants, regardless of the rules, even while in prison. According to 19 News Cleveland, in September 2024, the prison staff uncovered a bunch of contraband items in Mackenzie's cell. The list includes things like jewelry charms, 29 bottles of paint, and a stack of Monopoly money. There was also a note that listed prices for homemade bracelets and earrings. So I guess she was making and selling homemade jewelry? To who? Other inmates? I don't even know. A month later, during a random bed search, guards found non-prison issued items like prison pants that she'd had altered to be tighter and more revealing, a fan that belonged to another inmate, and 4 nude magazines. Mackenzie pleaded guilty to having those items. There were at least 3 separate occasions when Mackenzie was found to be wearing altered prison clothing. When a prison guard complained about it, according to the prison record, Mackenzie said, quote, "If he got a boner from the way I'm dressed, that's his fault."
Jesus.
Grow the fuck up. I just can't. In January 2025, another random search uncovered medication in Mackenzie's cell that had not been prescribed to her. Turns out they were prenatal vitamins that another inmate had given her. In April 2025, a conduct report found that Mackenzie had more than 100 video calls with a person who was not an approved visitor. The person turned out to be a former inmate who was visiting with Mackenzie using a false name. Mackenzie pleaded guilty and was sentenced or was given a 30-day electronics restriction. In September 2025, during a video visit, Mackenzie exposed her breast to her visitor, and the visitor responded by poking a dildo out of her own pants and then getting naked entirely. Mackenzie pleaded guilty to that charge and was given a 60-day restriction on video visits. So, how is it that someone convicted of murder is having sexual video chats with people? Former inmates who served time with Mackenzie said she's been in multiple intimate relationships so far during her time in prison. One such former girlfriend said Mackenzie told people that said that people called her Shirilla the Killer as though it was some kind of a joke. Another former inmate claims Mackenzie used prison sugar daddy websites to get money put into her account or gifts sent to her. I don't know if that's true, and I'll be honest, I don't care. Uh, I think it's just proof that Mackenzie is continuing her manipulative behavior and she only ever cares about getting her own way. What bothers me is that another inmate has publicly said Mackenzie's always laughing and smiling in prison. If that's true, it feels like she truly has no remorse for what she's done. There was also one that said she would like put on baby oil and go sunbathe in the yard. And it's like, this doesn't,
What is this prison? Like
yeah,
why are you so, why do you have so many video electronic privileges? You
it's
can't this is someone who killed two people. Like what are we talking about here?
100%. It's madness, and I hate it. According to former inmate Kat Crowder, Mackenzie always had her hair and makeup done. I never once considered makeup in prison.
I don't think you're supposed to have it. I've heard that they get creative typically and they use things that aren't typically meant for makeup to do their makeup. So I don't know how she would have makeup. Maybe her
Fascinating.
mother is bringing it to her.
I wouldn't be surprised. Um, so they said Mackenzie always had her hair and makeup done. She walked around the prison like she was the queen bee. Kat, who has YouTube and TikTok accounts under the name Bougie Behind Bars, has even posted pictures of Mackenzie in prison where it looks like she's just posing for selfies in high school between classes. And even though Mackenzie hasn't changed her attitude since entering prison, according to her, she doesn't need to be rehabilitated. This to me sounds like she doesn't have an ounce of remorse for what happened. Dominic Russo's sister, Christine, has launched a petition for Ohio to update their Son of Sam law. I mentioned the law in a previous episode. It was created to prevent people convicted of crimes from profiting off those crimes through book and movie deals. Christine wants to update the law to include social media. Christine is also planning to launch a foundation in Dominic's name to sponsor underprivileged kids who want to play basketball, since Christine and Dominic both enjoyed the sport. Davion Flanagan's family have created a scholarship in Davion's name for people wanting to attend barber school. So both victims' families are trying to turn their tragedies into something positive for their community. What is Mackenzie doing? According to a phone call between Mackenzie and her mother, Mackenzie has stated that after she's released, she wants to become a life coach. Heaven help us all. Reporting for True Crime and Cocktails, I'm Christy Oxborrow.
Oh, I am electrified. I am so into this. Okay.
Mhm.
Well, listen, we would normally take a break, but we've already done it. So I'm just going to go back. We're going to dive right in here to my thoughts because
Of
I got so much I want to talk
course.
about. Couldn't be happier.
Yes.
Going back to the beginning, you brought up Ohio state frog, to which I say there are state frogs.
Yeah, I thought you'd like that. I knew last time you picked up on me saying state bird, and I'm like, if I'm doing the state bird for me, because that's where we're at, then I'm like, obviously I'm going to do the state frog for you.
Never met a frog I didn't like. That's just the truth.
There
All
it
right.
is.
Never met a frog I didn't like. All right. I got lots to say, so I'm going to try and go through this quickly because, again, I have been transfixed by this case, as I know a lot of people have. So we're going to get into it. Wiener of a man, Steve Shirilla, I want to kiss you on the mouth. That is hysterical and so fucking accurate.
I'm just so over seeing his face and hearing him try to justify anything.
Well, what's so weird is he's now become the person doing all the press. But the mom, Natalie, is there just off camera. So I don't know if you've seen any of these recent interviews, but he did like a 2 hour interview recently with Chris Cuomo. And like, there's times where Natalie's like interrupting him, correcting him, telling him other things. And Chris Cuomo says, she's welcome to join. She's in the room. Why don't you have her join? And he's like, oh, no, that's okay. And it's like, I think Natalie realized that she needs to shut her yap. But the problem is she's not
Yeah.
shutting her yap.
Oh, I was gonna say, do we think that her having that being kind of being verbally scolded by that judge by being like, you're really talking a lot about your daughter and not about the victims here. I wonder if that made her go, I shouldn't probably handle the public
Here's the,
speaking.
yeah, I think that could have absolutely, I mean, I hope that was a part of it. Here's the thing. I think the only thing that she could have said in court would be something along the lines of, there are three families that have been torn apart by this, and we can't begin to imagine what those the families of Davion and Dominic are going through.
Yep.
It's absolutely horrific.
Yep.
What you said, we can at least talk to Mackenzie. They never can. This is a tragedy all around. Full stop. An
Yeah.
absolute tragedy. I just ask, Judge, that you take into account the age of Mackenzie and do we have to lose another life? Like there's a way of wording it that you can sound like you're not a monster, but that you're also like, please just be lenient because she's young and
Sure.
everybody's but again, she's an idiot and she doesn't think that way and she sounded like a fucking fool.
Yeah.
Again, wiener two there.
Thank you very much.
Now listen, I haven't done any research into this, but there is new scientific research that's coming out about marijuana psychosis. And
Oh,
I'm not suggesting that that was what it was at play here for Mackenzie, but I only offer it because I think there has been this kind of like belief for many, many years, decades, that it's like marijuana is totally safe and you can smoke it all the time and be fine, etc. And I think what's starting to be realized is that it's like, right, but if you're smoking it all day, every day, like if you're, there can be some kind of repercussions. And the
sure.
whole thing with the marijuana psychosis is that it presents kind of like schizophrenia. So again, I don't think
Ah,
that that's what's going on with her. I just offer it to add into the conversation you're having about how youth are at risk of mental health issues and cognitive issues if they're smoked. Because again, I think that what's really important to remember here is she was smoking all the time, like a lot of weed. Like she's got like a giant spliff in these photos. Like it's an
mhm.
amount of weed at an age, like to your point, if her dad's giving her a bong at 13,
15, but yeah.
15,
Well,
sorry,
and who knows what was
who
happening
knows?
at
But
13,
well,
but
listen,
yeah.
she was dating Dom at 13, right? So it's like,
Yeah.
but if he's condoning her using weed at 15, like I think it's one of those things where, teens are going to do what teens are going to do. We've all been there. And like, I understand a parent being like, well, listen, if I find out they smoke pot once or twice, I'm not going to really, it's not that big a deal. But it's another thing when you're co-signing on your child literally being high all day, every day. Like, yeah, that's going to have an effect on your brain development, period.
Yeah.
That's not even like a
100%.
crazy new concept. And my point is that it's like, if we also know that there's research coming out about the further effects that can happen for prolonged extreme use. Why would you be okay with your child doing it? It's not like it was one of those things where it was like every night has a couple of puffs before going to bed
Right?
to go to sleep. It's like no, 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 she's hauling on fucking joints and bongs, ripping on bongs all day every day. There's a difference. Like it's again, it's like it's an extreme amount. And listen, as someone who took 8 to 9 puffs of a marijuana cigarette last summer and then almost felt like I was out of my body during an Offspring concert, a little goes a long way. Anyway,
I
this isn't about
know,
me.
I know that you're an adult, but your mother is going to text you about this.
She's heard the story. She's heard the
Okay.
story.
Thank God. Was she
It's in
shocked?
I, I don't know if we really got into it that much. I can't remember how much we talked about it. Yeah, I don't think that she loved it, but oh yeah, I was literally 42 at the time. Like I have smoked pot. Listen, that's I'm not ashamed. It's not my thing. I don't like it. And that was a prime example of me going, maybe this would be fun. It wasn't for me. It was absolutely awful. I talk about it in my
Mhm.
call me when you get this live show. Um Anyway, my point is that it's can be very powerful. It's like it's no joke.
Sure.
Listen, the strain that I smoked apparently was called Night Rider, and let me tell you something. I rode the night. Anyway, not great. Um, okay, I'm gonna kind of jump all over the place a little bit because I was taking notes as you were going of things I was thinking that I knew you were going to get to.
Of
But
course.
the POTS thing, I got to talk about this for a second. There's no medical history. There's no documentation of her passing out. There's no documentation that she was given this diagnosis. But
Correct.
not only does it not make sense if she apparently had this situation and it was so bad that she was passing out when sitting down? It doesn't make sense that her parents would allow her to get a driver's license, but also if a doctor knew that her POTS was that severe and did not mandate that she not have a license, then those families could sue the fuck out of that doctor for malpractice. But here's the thing, that doctor doesn't exist because these conversations didn't exist. There's no record of it. But my point just is that it's like, I actually personally know people that have POTS. I know a couple of different people. I
Sure.
know I know some people that have it quite mild. That if you stand up too quickly, you can feel like you're going to pass out or potentially pass out. I also know someone who has severe POTS. Guess
Hmm.
what? Restricted from driving.
There it is.
So again, if that was real, that is a real possibility. If that was a real thing, yeah. But guess what? You're still on the hook, guys, because she shouldn't have been driving. And the
A
doctor that
hundred
wouldn't,
percent.
if the doctor knew that she had POTS that severe and didn't mandate that, that doctor could lose their license. So again, it's just all of it falls apart. The foot pedal never let up. You're like, I'm not an expert. Neither am I. Guess what? If she passed out, the foot would lift. Your body goes limp, the foot would lift. It's the angle of it.
Right?
Yes.
At the very least, the foot to like does one of those goes
Yes,
off
because
of
to
it.
drive, you're activating your ankle, right? So if you go limp, your foot isn't going to further, like your foot can't further extend. Your foot's going to kind of go like, no,
Right?
it's bullshit. The fact that the car was shifted into neutral and then they felt the wheel, I believe, go right, left, and then hard right. I
Yes.
do think it's more than possible that those two boys were trying to take over. And I also think what's tragic about it is that I think it's also possible that they had been wearing their seatbelts and took them off to try and get
To try
control
and
of the
stop
car.
her. Agreed. I
I
truly think that's what it was.
I do
That's
too.
I think that's the only reason they weren't wearing seatbelts is because they were like, "What are you doing? You're going to get us killed." And they took them off uh, to try and stop her somehow.
Driving a car that fast also, it's like when you see a race car and the wheel is kind of like constantly like it's like it would
Right?
be hard to stay in control of, I think in general. And I think it getting shifted into neutral is proof. Like I think that that had to have been the boys going like, what can we do to slow this car down?
100%.
Um, okay. The older sister Danielle that no one knows about.
I know.
She is the Ashley Simpson of this sister duo. I'm just saying it right now. Living in the shadow of someone else's dream. Um,
Thank you very much.
you're so welcome. I have heard rumors online that the parents are extremely strict with Danielle and that Danielle isn't allowed to go out or do anything, but they were so lax with Mackenzie, which is so odd to me. Don't know, haven't confirmed nor denied it because again, she barely exists on the internet, but I'm just
Mm.
throwing that into the pot.
I
Weird
did
family.
I
Weird family.
I did hear, and it's been said multiple times on the internet, whether true or not. Actually, I think this was a quote in one of the prison phone calls between Natalie and Mackenzie, because while they were laughing about, hey, great news, you're getting famous, which that's also the whole other thing that pisses me off in this is all she wanted was to be famous and she got it.
I know.
And my concern is she's gonna get out early and go all full Gypsy Rose and get her own fucking show and get her like suddenly she'll get everything she wanted. Um, but I heard that during one of the calls they were making fun of Danielle, the older sister, and there was a comment about apparently Danielle would had a habit of taking food into her room and she would leave it like hide it under her bed. And so they took her bed frame out of her room so that she couldn't do that anymore. And I'm like, it's
Jesus Christ.
wild to me that that's how you treated that one. And yet, Mackenzie, you were liking her posts of her like smoking while driving. And there were also videos where she would like have the phone in her lap and be driving and like look down and like make faces and pose at the phone. And it's like, can you like it's
So
it's not
dangerous.
it's not just her safety. I'm like, I just think of like my own children starting to drive and the idea that they could be out on the road and someone like that is also out there. It's like, I don't need you putting other people at risk.
No, I mean, listen, I know that there are people who smoke weed and drive all the time. Um, what I would say is that first of all, it's DUI. It's not drunk driving, it's driving under the influence. And if you are to get into an accident when you have a high level of marijuana in your system, you're going to get charged with a DUI. First of all, that's just
Sure.
a truth. For a teen who doesn't have like years of driving experience under their belt,
Mm,
you're okay with her smoking weed at this, not even smoking and then driving at the same fucking time?
mm.
And again, these are the fucking people that are like, she wasn't a bad kid. She didn't need to be disciplined much. Well, I think everybody, all the school officials would probably disagree with you there.
Yeah.
Because I would say a kid that doesn't need to be disciplined much, you're never going to get called to the school. My mother was never called to the school for my bad behavior.
Well,
And I'm pretty sure neither
you,
were your parents. Like,
that's because you weren't smoking pot till 42 at an Offspring concert. Oh,
when in
no.
Rome, baby.
Yeah, no, no judgment. I just had to tease that because I know it'll drive Laurel insane.
Oh, yeah, listen.
Um,
I'm sure she wasn't
but
happy about it, but
but yeah, here's the thing. No, were mine weren't called.
no, again, if you're a good
Like,
kid, if your kid is legitimately a good kid that doesn't need a lot of discipline, you're never going to get called to the school for disciplinary actions. Like this is
yeah.
it's again the disconnect with these people. And it is crazy. If they took away Danielle's bed frame because she was keeping like putting food under the bed, but then they're like letting Mackenzie move in with her 20-year-old boyfriend when she's 17, like it's lunacy.
Oh, you can't
I
tell me that she also wasn't openly spending nights at his house and they
for
were like,
sure.
nah, like up to that point,
For sure.
and they saw pictures of her, and videos that she was posting of all the stuff she was doing, and they were just like, nah, okay. And I'm truly convinced it's because they think, well, our kid is popular, and then that makes us by association popular.
Yeah,
Like,
it
I
feels
think
like
that's truly what it was, is like, if she's popular, well, then so are we.
yeah, because they probably weren't in high school,
Oh,
aka
they weren't.
the Wiener Parade. Um, okay, so Steve was this art and whatever, digital, whatever teacher at the time of the documentary, as we know. What I find interesting is I saw an interview with him where he talked about how his career was like building props for television sets. And then he's like, yeah, I'm a late in life teacher. I got into it really late in life. And I have a couple of questions.
Hmm.
One, how many film and television productions are happening in Ohio that you have enough work that until you were in your, what, 40s, I'm assuming, you were able to survive? Like, I don't know what Natalie does for work, so who knows? But like, so I have a lot of questions. And then I would say, listen, obviously, I can speak to the fact that like the entertainment industry is massively suffering in the States and I get it. So it's possible that like this elusive television set prop work that he was doing in Ohio perhaps dried up, so he had to start to do something else. I, of course, have written a story that I'm like, or did you lose your job because you were high all the time? That is a wild speculation that I cannot back up on any way. It just seems odd to me. Like, who becomes a teacher in their 40s? Like, no
Yeah.
judgment to teachers. Teachers are fucking saints most of the time,
Mm.
other than some of the bad ones we've all had. But you know what I'm saying? Like, these are people who
There's the
devote their
bad
lives
ones.
to educating youth. Um,
Mm.
it just something feels off about it to me. Probably because something feels off to me about this entire family and everything that they do.
There is something not right, and I have so many questions as to how this whole thing is like Mackenzie, her parents, Mackenzie, her parents, Mackenzie, her parents. And then it's like, oh yeah, Danielle is there. And
I
it's like,
know.
is Danielle like distancing herself because she's like, good, everybody can see what they're like and what I've had to put up with. Because I
I
can't
mean,
imagine hiding a child hiding like food under a bed sounds to me like they weren't allowed to eat what they wanted when they wanted.
yeah.
Like, so I have concerns about that because you're hiding that because you think you're not allowed to have it.
Well, possibly. I will also say I did also have an incident where I left a white chocolate bunny under my bed for some time, and when my mother found it, it was covered in maggots. That was not due to not having access to food. That was that wasn't really due to
Sure.
anything. I don't know why I did it. I never did it
Oh,
again, but
again, I think I said on this show, not on, maybe it was on Patreon, but I think it was on this show where one of my children left a decorated Easter egg in his backpack for 6 weeks,
yeah.
and just a rotten egg that the scent got into the backpack so much, no matter what I washed, it just kept smelling like it. So I had to throw the backpack out. Again, that was just, he just plain forgot it was there.
Sometimes people do weird things. I don't know. Yes, I think it could absolutely be a sign of something, but I think it could also have been a sign of just like maybe she was lazy. Maybe she wasn't thinking. Maybe she
Sure.
was like, there's lots of things that are at play here. It just feels like it feels like the reaction is just so large.
Oh, the reaction was over the top for what it was. It just, I got the impression, and maybe it's incorrect, that it was like she was always putting, like they were
Right.
always finding dishes or whatever. And to that, I say, well, there's got to be other ways. Like, uh, that's a pretty extreme punishment for a child, for the, based on like how you've never punished your other
That's
child.
what it is for me. That's what it is for me. Look, again, maybe they were constantly at her about this. Maybe this was ongoing for years and they finally got to a breaking point. That's all possible. It's the
Sure.
fact that it just doesn't add up with your other daughter who killed two people and how you treat her. It just is weird.
They
Um,
really hitched their wagon to that child
yeah.
and refused to look at the other one, it seems.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna jump all over the place now very quickly, so I can get in everything I want to say. I did enjoy. I think it might have been Rosie in the Crash documentary, but I can't remember. Someone in that documentary, I remember saying that it was like Kenzie was not suicidal. She wouldn't eat McDonald's. Like that's how healthy she
Oh,
was. And I was like, that's a
yeah.
wild leap that because someone's healthy,
Mhm.
that means that they value their life more than someone who doesn't eat healthy. So therefore they couldn't possibly be suicidal. I was like, that's nuts. These people are nuts.
Yes, I do believe you're right. It was something like, um, if I go out to like get McDonald's, she won't even eat nuggets. And it's like,
Right.
okay.
I think that that was probably more that she really liked being super skinny because that was really what her aesthetic was in her
Oh, yeah, yeah,
posts.
yeah.
I don't think that that was about valuing her health. I think that was her just trying to be probably a low level, I mean, speculation, eating disorder. Like she was very, very skinny. Like I don't think that that had anything to do with being eating healthy. It was just probably
No.
not eating a lot, you know?
It's also such a wild statement to make of, that's how, like, she was so healthy and like whatever, and it's like, did you see how much weed she consumed? Like, i
It's crazy.
I don't think that a nugget isn't gonna do something versus like just how much she was doing for drugs. Like, I just don't
I
even
know.
know, like, you can't be like, she was so healthy, I mean, aside from all the drugs, but like
Yeah, I
so
know.
healthy.
It's so crazy.
Stop it.
Um, Okay, quickly. Now, I did not read through all the text to corroborate this, but there has been rumors on the internet that somewhere in the text messages there was a conversation between Mackenzie and Dom where they were referring to a breakup, and he was talking about
Mm.
how she had hooked up with someone else. And
Oh,
then the
yes.
details came out that he started referring to it as prostitution and that she didn't deny it. She was just like, well, we were on a break, so what does it matter? And then it came
Yeah.
out, the quote was like, well, I only let him fuck my feet, so it shouldn't matter.
Yes.
Um, and then some of the details came out that I guess there was another girl that had maybe connected her with this guy who was going to pay her to fuck her feet. There was also I had heard she had been selling nudes or some sort of kind of like
Mhm.
OnlyFans-esque type content to people, as well as a moneymaker. Now, again, I have not corroborated this,
This
but
would make sense. There was a comment that I saw in the text where she didn't say what, but she said, "Should I do it?" And his comment was, "Hurry up while he's still horny enough to pay." Was a sort of comment. And so And then they got back to fighting.
Right.
They fought a lot. So there was definitely something regarding that in those texts. Yes.
Again, this girl had parents who said she never needed to be disciplined because she was so good. A
Yeah.
teen, an underage teen. Okay.
I'd love to
Okay.
know what Danielle was like in high school.
I I again living in the shadow.
I'm just wondering,
Um
like, did teachers, like teachers who see a sibling come through, did that teacher, were those teachers like, okay, okay, another one of them, here we go. And then
yeah,
they spoke to her and they were like, dear God.
I have to believe that's true. Also, Gypsy Rose has weighed in. I don't know if you know this, but Gypsy
I
Rose has
did
said,
hear that she got into it. Yeah.
yeah, she says she doesn't think that Kenzie will get out in 15 years. She said that she's shown no signs of remorse, so she's not hopeful. I think this is one of the few times I can say I agree with Gypsy Rose. Um, okay, the fact that she chose the judge trial, I actually think is insane because I
Mm.
don't disagree with you that at face value, it's like she would be tough to like endear herself to a jury. However, I do think there was more of a chance of her managing like with her woe is me, I'm merely a young child. Maybe it was
Yeah.
medical. I think there was more of a chance that it could have ended up with a hung jury or a
Oh, sure.
mistrial. I think that there was a chance there with the judge. Stupidity. It was stupid. There was no
Oh,
way she was going to get off, in my opinion.
I've written a story about that. I don't know that this is accurate. This is just something I'm speculating. But I assume her brain, and probably maybe it was on the advice of her lawyer. I don't know. But I think she was like a whole jury or a single judge. And I bet her brain went, a middle-aged man, he's going to see this sweet, innocent little kid and go, this kid did nothing wrong. And instead, it was the most badass boss woman who looked at her and went, no, not buying it. I think she didn't see that woman coming. I think her brain was like, this is going to be some like older man who's going to look at me and be like, oh, that sweet thing did nothing wrong.
Yeah, that's more than possible. And listen, I understand the lawyer maybe thought because there wasn't a lot of like firm evidence that it was deliberate. Like to me, it was like, well, at best, it would be vehicular manslaughter, period. Like
Yes.
she would be going to trial anyway because at best she killed two people when she was driving. So
Regardless as
that's
to what happened. Yeah,
right.
there's
That's
going
the
to have to
best
be
that
something.
you could hope for. And and I understand that maybe in his eyes, like trying to prove murder would be difficult. But again, I think, to me, I think that I think she saw red. Like I think that she was in a moment of rage. I think that
Mhm.
what for whatever reason, and she was just like, fuck this. And the unfortunate part was a lot of times in the trial, Davion kept getting referred to as like cargo, that it was
Oh,
like he
I
was just
know.
like, you know what I mean, which is so awful and disgusting. I understand what they're saying though. Like I think in the moment she was just like, I'm gonna kill Dom and me, and he happens to be here. Now, there was a psychic on TikTok who did say that she channeled Davion and
Oh
Dom and
boy.
said that Kenzie had said, "Sorry, Davion," those were her last words. Now, I don't think that we can necessarily trust that to be true, but here we are. Um, in
Wow.
terms of the driving the same route 3 days before it happened, here's what I have to say about that. It was out of the way, as far as I could tell, from the party. So even if it was a typical cut through, I don't think, and listen, I didn't have the time or the wherewithal to make a map. I don't even know if we have access to that party address. But the point is that it's like it felt like it was like an industrial park. Like it felt like it was
It was,
so
yeah.
far out of the way, which makes me wonder too if there was like she starts to go the wrong way. The boys are like, "Where are you going? Why are you driving this way?" She says, "Don't, I'm the driver. Don't worry about it." It starts to escalate. She does that one turn that's fine. They start getting mad. She's like, "Fuck you," speeds up. They start to go, and then it just goes out of control. Like I feel like it could be that simple. And I also agree that it's more than possible that she may not remember the lead up because you were in a very traumatic accident and your brain
Sure.
just gets wiped. But that doesn't prove that she didn't have the intent in the moment to do it. Just because you don't remember doing it doesn't mean you didn't intend to at the time.
Yeah.
Um,
I also just because the cop said that this was like a cut through that people use, they have never said if there was proof she'd ever driven it before those 3 days earlier. We know
Right.
she was there the 28th, and we know she was there obviously the morning of the 31st. We don't know if she ever took it prior to that. So it's more than possible that just, well, she could have even like Google mapped it and been like, there is this thing. And then she drove it just to see what it looked like. Because again, there are so many trees. Like if she was to drive straight off of that street and go straight ahead, she would have hit three trees. Very young trees, but still, that would have hell of that slow you down.
Yeah.
You had to make a hard right to get into the building, and I just can't believe she did enough to make sure the passenger side was hit and harmed the most, and then she somehow miraculously made it. I agree that I think something happened. I think they got into an argument, and then I think it just kept escalating and escalating, and then it was just
Well, the fact that
he
there was
got
pattern of
livid.
behavior too, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know that Dom would be calling his mom and making up that she was driving erratically that day. Um, I I tend to believe him on that. The revelation that Davion had her blocked is like fascinating to me. That is, I had not
Mm.
heard that. Also, all of these details you have about her prison time, like the nudie magazines, wild. The like
Thank you for
sexy,
nudie.
sexy video conversations. Like this is crazy. This woman killed two people. But the last thing I want to say is, of course, I'm getting fed all these interview clips with Steve the Wiener, and there was one that I have to address before we wrap it
Hmm.
up because this is the longest episode of the show we've done in some time, which is a thrill. He said he
Hmm.
believes that Dom's family is very powerful and that had she only killed Davion, she wouldn't be in prison. And I
Right.
think that is the most fucked up, we'll use Davion's dad's term, tone deaf.
Hmm.
What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Hmm.
Two kids have fucking died because of your
Yes.
fucking daughter. Shut the fuck up. The
Thank you
fact
very
that, in my
much.
opinion, the fact that she only got 15 years, it's 15 to life, but like, you could, like, I feel like you could get that for vehicular manslaughter. Like, I don't know what the charges are typically for that, but like, shut the fuck up, dude. You just sound like a raging, ignorant asshole.
Like it just sounds racist at that point, doesn't it?
Well,
That's
I
like
mean,
if
it's,
she'd
yeah, in a sense, for sure. Well,
if
it's,
she'd only killed the black kid, she wouldn't have gone to prison.
but he's saying, I know, which is disgusting as a concept. But he's saying that it's like Dom's family bribed people. That Dom's family is like super powerful and like has this like pull over judges and whatever. And I'm like, what does his family even do? What are we even talking about? Like, you guys are scraping. Was it a medical emergency or is she being unfairly targeted? Was it, what are the things? Because nothing you're saying adds up. I think that they need to shut up and take a fucking beat because they're
Yes.
doing so much fucking press right now. And to me, it is just making them and Mackenzie look worse and worse. And listen, she doesn't need their help to look bad. She does a great job on her own. Raging for true
Oh,
crime and
yeah.
cocktails. I'm Lauren Ash.
It's the fact that the prison sentence is not looking like a prison sentence. Like it looks like she's just on fucking vacation. Like she's making bracelets.
I
She's
know. It's all
having
feels.
relationships. She's tanning. She's like, and I've seen the selfies where she's hair and makeup done, posing, and it's like, you're in fucking prison.
Grow up.
Having the clothes altered so they can be tighter on her. Grow the fuck up.
Yeah, I just feel like if this wasn't a wake up call to change your behavior,
Nothing will.
no.
No.
Christy Oxborrow, fantastic work as always. I'm so glad that I pushed you into doing this sooner than we planned to because I was just excited to talk to you about it. Um, And listen, thank you for joining us for this wild ride. If you haven't already, give us a follow on the socials on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube at True Crime and Cocktails, on Twitter at Not Detectives. If you'd like some bonus content, go over to patreon.com/True Crime and Cocktails to learn more about our subscription-based service over there. And of course, the only place for official True Crime and Cocktails merch is, of course, truecrewmerch.com. So check that out as well. And give my music some streams if you're feeling so entitled. If you're feeling so inclined, add me to a playlist. Do whatever. Your support is very appreciated. Christy, do you want to tell the people about next week's episode?
On the next True Crime and Cocktails, Colin Howell.
Oh, don't know anything about that one. Cannot wait to learn about it from my best gal. Christy, do you want to say goodnight to the people?
Good night to our future band name, Wiener Parade.
Yeah. Good night to Wiener Parade and their first hit single, Out of the Bun.